You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Rip to right field. Butler will turn over his head, and that ball's gone. A line drive homer into the bullpen. Culpepper to left and deep. Back it goes, and that ball is out of here. Back-to-back homers from Lardick and Culpepper. The Twins offense surging early tonight. This ball is hit high and deep to left center. It is gone. A match for Murph.
Norby lifts its ball to deep left center field. Take a good look. You won't see it for long. How about a grand slam? 8-1 Colorado.
High drive to right. It is off the bricks. He's cleared the bases.
Good morning. Welcome in. Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Mail Medical. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. What's up, Austin? How we doing?
Oh, just getting ready. We're excited.
Getting ready?
Getting ready.
What are we getting ready for?
It's football season.
It is football season.
Like we're officially back. And it's
like
volleyball. Like the fall sports season starts today.
It is
huge.
It is football season.
It is exciting, Shane.
You're going to a college football game tonight.
I am.
Tonight.
Can you believe it?
I cannot.
College football is so bad.
UNK Wayne State.
Where else would you rather be than Kearney America, Ron and Carroll Cope Stadium, the Lopers versus the Wildcats?
I'm going to be at Prep Westside.
Okay. Well, that's
also good.
Fine.
Also good.
If you can text me updates, that'd be super nice.
I will.
I appreciate that.
Send that to you over from Omaha Burke.
Are you guys going?
Yes. We are going separately, 2 different places.
Yeah, we're not going to the same place.
Yeah.
I'm not going to Kearney.
I've got a 6 o'clock kickoff, which, to be frank, kind of a big fan of.
Oh, 6 o'clock is a great kickoff, especially on a weeknight.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get to
Thursday
bed.
night, 6 o'clock.
Love
it's gonna be elite. I have big plans though. I'm thinking if I can make it work, I'm gonna get there early for UNK Wayne State because I got to work. This is the worst part. I'm not gonna be able to,
like leave right after the show.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna have to leave to get down there, all that other stuff. But I have to get a lot of pregame stuff for content.
Sure.
And then I'm gonna try to run out to. This is gonna sound crazy, but go from Kearney to Gothenburg. Watch a quarter of Kozad Gothenburg, and then come back for Kearney Wayne State at the end. Just trying to watch football, man.
What time does Kearney Gothenburg start?
Kozad Gothenburg?
Oh, Kozad.
7.
Wait, so you're gonna miss?
I'm gonna go for pregame,
and you're gonna miss part of the Kearney Wayne State game?
Yeah, and then come back. Is that dumb?
That's a terrible idea.
Okay, then I won't go. I won't go to Kozad
Just
Gothenburg.
lock in on Kearney Wayne State.
Kozad Gothenburg.
Just lock in on Kearney Wayne State.
Dawson
Come on.
County rivalry.
I don't care.
You don't care about the Swedes and the Haymakers?
I
You don't
mean-
care about Jared Crick? Just say you don't care about Jared Crick.
Listen, I'm a big Jared Crick guy.
Mm-hmm.
We love Jared Crick.
Yeah.
You need to lock in. You're going to get the lesser of.
But I'm working. I'm a neutral party when it comes to this. Unless UNK wins at the end, then I will.
Yeah, you're about as
a
neutral
rebel.
as I'm going to be tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I don't believe that at all, even a little bit. Right? Like you need to lock in. You're going to get the lesser experience of both games by trying to split your time like that.
That is true.
Now, if Gothenburg Kozad was at 6 and Kearney Wayne State was at 7,
that actually might work a little bit better.
Maybe we're having a conversation here, but you can't listen. This is a very like use your full ass situation. Like you can't half ass this thing.
Are you're saying this from the UNK perspective?
Yeah, you should just go to UNK. I mean, because it's the early game. That's your only option.
All right. Okay.
Unless you're going,
so.
Unless you're going to leave UNK and just stick at Gothenburg Kozad.
No, and I'm not. That was not the plan.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a college football game that's televised. Like it's going to be a longer experience. So I figured I could get at least like opening kickoff, little quarter, see some the.
You're missing at minimum a half.
Yeah. I figured.
That's a terrible decision.
Okay. Well, geez.
You shouldn't
Sorry.
do that. You shouldn't do that.
Goodness.
Listen, I'm
All
here
right.
to help.
All right.
I'm here to help, not just with the content, but for you to have the best possible viewing experience.
I'm going to let everyone know that you hate kids west of Kearney. That's what it sounds like.
You could have just stopped that at I hate kids. Like that was just.
You're going to a high school game today.
Well,
you like football players.
I like football. I like football.
What are you most excited to watch in that and for Prep Westside? Are you going analytical?
Well, I'm fascinated to watch where Prep's at. First of all,
I agree.
I think they're I mean, I think the top 4 teams in the state, and I do think there's a gap. It's, Westside, Millard South, and then Millard North, Creighton Prep.
Yep.
I think
I'm with you.
I think almost everybody that pays attention would agree with that in terms of the kind of the tiers.
Yep.
So
This is a fun weekend to find out how close those 2 tiers are to
I would
each other.
say because first tier is playing second tier in both games.
Yeah.
Right. So fascinated to see how close Prep is. This is a group, Mike and I have talked about this. DB and I talked about this. This group of kids from Prep has been playing together and having to start since they were very young.
Yes. They took some lumps a couple years ago.
They did. I remember watching that. But the first time I remember, I was like, oh, they might end up being okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is they went to Bellevue West in like week 0. I want to say when they were sophomores. And that Bellevue West team was Danny Kalin, Isaiah McMorris, Davon Hall. Like it was a very, very talented Bellevue West team. And Creighton Prep gave them everything they could handle. Mm-hmm. They were clearly outmatched.
Also 2 different styles.
Yeah, very different stylistically. Yeah. And they were clearly outmatched, especially on the skill positions on the perimeters. But man, they fought their ass off. And I was like, that's going to be a good football team when those kids are seniors. And those kids are seniors. So I'm fascinated to see what that looks like and to see if they can do something similar to Westside. I mean, because Westside's going to have similar advantages, probably more advantages than Bellevue West had a couple years ago. And I'm fascinated to see how close Prep is. And I'm honestly really, really interested to see Braylon Warren in live action.
Yeah.
I thought there were times last year where against higher level competition, he struggled a little bit. We saw it against Central. Obviously, Millard South's a whole different thing, so you kind of just flush that and put it to the side. But
it's also a once in a lifetime defense at the high school.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like that's why it's a whole other situation. Right. Scoreboard pressure because they just were never going to be stopped ever. You start to take chances that you normally wouldn't. Like I put that over here and kind of say like, okay, I saw this. This is a data point, but I'm not going to give too much credence to it because you're probably never going to see another high school football team like that again. But, Central's one where I go, okay, that's a team that was talented, but probably shouldn't have given Westside the trouble they did last year. Mm-hmm. And part of that was Yashir Grigsby, who now plays for Westside.
Yep.
Part of that was Torrey Pittman had an interception, who now plays for Millard North. Like, there's Kylon Haney. Like, a lot of those guys don't play for Central anymore, but you had really good players on a team that probably wasn't as good as Westside, but they gave Westside trouble. They gave Braylon Warren. I love saying Braylon Edwards.
You got to get off that, man.
He hasn't played in so long.
Yeah. You just love the Browns and the Jets. It's your favorite.
Big Michigan guy.
Michigan, man.
Whittingham
has been on the mind, though.
I know. We have been talking a lot of Whittingham in Michigan.
You're low-key kind of Michigan colors today.
Yeah. Well, this is a Ted Lasso shirt.
Yeah, but you got a dash of yellow on the collar.
Yeah, we're rocking the Ted Lasso, cool. AFC Richmond.
Okay.
Okay. But no, I'm really interested to see if Braylon's development has continued. Obviously, he always looks good in 7-on-7, right? Like he's got a skill set that's going to play well in that environment. Does it translate this year against closer to like competition, more so than it did last year? I'll be interested to see that as well. And then obviously you get to see Tay-Tay.
Yeah, I don't remember where Mike is going. I'm sure he just tweeted it. I'll find it. But I know that we've got people that will go to Elkhorn North Bennington tonight, which is also, a great Thursday night game.
100%.
And then tomorrow you mentioned Millard North, Millard South, Prep tonight. Plenty of things to be able to do. Plenty.
Yeah, so
also, not to discredit this as well, but like high school volleyball starts today. Spike under the lights for Nebraska volleyball. No matter what you're doing, sports is back. It truly is.
It really is. We're here. We made it, guys. We made it.
This is also the official wave goodbye to baseball season that you can do in the rearview mirror.
At least for a month.
Yeah.
Like October.
No, October, yeah. I will lock
back
in. I'm excited for October.
But I will say, and this is less important to you than it is to me, U.S. Open starts this weekend as well.
Yeah, you're right. That was very much less important to me.
Very excited. Carlos Alcaraz is back. I'm very excited.
I couldn't be more excited for you that you'll have your thing this weekend.
Yes, yeah.
College football will be back. I'm going to have to DVR a bunch of stuff because I'll be in Grand Island for 8-man football. Yeah, we've all got our own things we're excited about. Yeah,
you're excited about 8-man football. I'm excited about the U.S. Open.
You'll love this. Yesterday,
exciting.
I did the 8-man football classic preview with Jim Clarkson, who's the VP for the Nebraska 8-man Football Association.
Love that.
And I was talking to him beforehand, and I had said, trying to find a game to go to. He's also the head coach at Clarkson,
Okay.
which just split Clarkson Lee. That was one of the games we're looking at for their big rivalry.
That's
their
right,
unconsolidation. And he was like, "Oh, you do the morning show with Ravi, right?" And I was like, "Yes." He goes, "Yeah, we really didn't like that guy for a little bit." And I said, I was like, the clip is a misunderstanding. Like the clip was bad, and I understand that, but the clip is a complete misunderstanding of what the exact conversation actually was about. Because, again, the clip was about Carter Nelson
making the adjustment to college football.
And the unfortunate part is that it got aggregated by 8-man people.
It did.
Because it was you just saying it's not real football,
yeah.
Which was not the point of the argument at all.
Not even what I said.
No.
I said it's his first time playing real football.
Yes.
So I didn't say anything about 8-man specifically.
People got really upset with you.
They were so mad. I go, this is his first time playing real football.
Is that the most 308 area code people that have been upset with you at one time?
Oh, probably. Yeah, it has to be. It's got to be. And of course, real was not the right term to use.
Yes.
I'm like regulation is probably the term.
But again, it's one of those things
like,
where
you're doing this live. Yeah. It's whatever. And
now,
I think within context, it was very clear what I meant.
What's funny too is at the time during that era of the show, the clips came out 12 hours after the show, pretty much.
So unfortunately, that was like the one that got out fast.
Yes.
They had that thing out before the show was over. And I was like, really? This is the one time you get it out on time? And it was just immediate.
I remember watching that evolve because it took about a day where some people were like, "Oh,
no,
that's kind of weird."
It had like a 3-day tail.
And then it really picked up the second day because then you had. Did you ever address it again? I feel like you talked about it.
I talked about it the next day and maybe the day after. It was a long run. I almost made a Western Nebraska joke there. I'm not going.
No, you should. You should.
I was going to say,
Rico, get ready. Put this.
It took 3 days because the dial-up finally caught up to the clip there.
That's a great prank. I do love that. That's a great prank.
I'll say you've made that joke before.
Say it all the time. It's very funny. I make that joke constantly. When I'm at state basketball and I'm somewhat supporting another Western Nebraska team that might be a Sydney rival, I always say, well, the people of Sydney won't see this for a few business days. And immediately, one of my former teachers would text me, "You don't think that we..." Okay, sorry. I love doing that. It's hilarious. And then what's funny is it's like when somebody makes fun of your family and you're like, "Hey, whoa.
Yeah, whoa, hey.
Yeah, because I can make fun of it.
Yes.
But somebody says it to
100%.
me. Like, whoa. Hey, knock it off.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yes, that is very much not what I meant about 8-man football. I actually really enjoy 8-man football. Like, that's the funny thing is I remember watching
the title games the past couple years have been phenomenal.
Incredible. And so I've never been to an 8-man game, but I've watched the state championships of them since high school. Like I literally remember watching them when I was like a sophomore or junior in high school. And I was like, this is incredible. I love this. And so like, I'm weirdly actually for somebody that's never been to an 8-man game and from Omaha, I actually really, really like 8-man football, which was sort of the ironic thing about the whole situation was like, we're on the same team here, guys.
Like, so I realized this in my brain yesterday.
Yeah.
At minimum this weekend, I'm going to see 5 in-person football games.
That's a lot. It's a lot of football games.
Doesn't that sound good?
It sounds like a lot.
It's like an IV of football just right into my veins.
Yeah, I'll see 2. I'll see tonight and tomorrow night for high school. And then
Which screen does the U.S. Open go on Saturday?
So it'll go on the third screen.
Okay.
It's not.
So is it 1, 2, 3? 1, 2, 3?
So we've got it goes in order of size, and it goes from right to left.
Okay.
So we've got the big one dead center.
Okay.
And that's the 75. That'll be the main TV screen, and then we've got a 65 right next to it, and then a 50. So tennis will go on either the 50 or my computer monitor.
Okay.
It's not going to get primetime real estate. I understand. Right. I understand where we're at.
Do you check it during commercial breaks, or how does this work? Like, I imagine you're locked in here.
Yeah.
And then you glance here when like plays end or shift. But then when does the third screen? Because this feels like a lot of like almost Michael Keaton Batman body turning. And I don't know if I'm for that. It seems like a lot of ab rotation.
I've got it set up where I can see technically 4 screens with my computer monitor from my desk, basically by just looking forward. They're all they're on a kind of a panoramic situation. So I glance between, there's enough downtime in football. You can watch other stuff.
That is true. Yes,
right? Like famously, there's a lot of like stopping, waiting, play calling, all that kind of stuff. So I've got enough time. I can focus on other things. What's really, really challenging is basketball. There's not enough downtime in basketball to watch multiple things.
And volleyball.
Yes, volleyball as well. Like there is just not a lot of there's not a lot of downtime. So that becomes really challenging. Football is pretty easy. Football is really easy to watch multiple things.
And also when you miss something big, easy to back up and find.
Yes, and they're almost always going to show me a replay. So
do you feel elite in your how do I say this? Your remote control expertise? Do you feel good in that? Like,
I do.
Does it need some? Do you need some practice to warm up?
No, I feel good on my remote control situation. I mean, if you remember at the College World Series, I was about the only one that could figure out the quad box.
That is true.
Yes. I was the one. I was like, hey, don't worry, I got this.
Yeah, remember
World Cup here. We'll get CWS here. Like, I got this.
Remember when it finally logged me out and was like, hey, stop! You're not allowed to watch any of this anymore. And I just said, I told you guys, it was going to happen. Like, we ran out. Is that when? Did you have to log in, or who ended up logging in?
It wasn't me. It was somebody else had YouTube TV.
But I think it was Andy.
I think it was Andy. Yeah.
It's just funny because as the week went on, less of those channels became available.
Yes.
And I remember people were like, "What? We can only put on like the U.S. like the golf," and
it was slowly locking you down.
Yeah,
it was.
And then finally, by the end of the week, it just said no more.
To be fair, part of that was early in the week was them not understanding how to work quad box.
That is true. Yeah,
like that was they thought they only had certain things available. It's like, guys, you got to create the custom quad box here.
Yep.
You can't. This is not that hard.
The customization of the quad box is elite.
Game changer.
Very good.
I was so happy when they brought that into my life.
Now I will say, I'm kind of a fan of a split screen, but I understand why they can't do it. Like how we have our guests on where it's half and half. You can't do that with sports because I can't see zoomed in versions of both.
Yes.
So I wish that I could do top and bottom rather than side by side. So I could watch two games in like full in the widescreen that way.
Yeah,
know
I get that. I do.
Yeah. So YouTube TV.
Austin, big top and bottom guy.
Listen, you're the only person who thought that. We've been talking ball. Someone's going to be mad about this.
Oh, why are they talking so many sports right now? I don't know. Ravi, do you is there like one TV that has volume that you
yes.
use?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have a one volume TV. So what I usually do is on the biggest TV that gets the quad box so I can see the boxes the best. The second TV gets the one game with the volume typically, and then third TV gets the thing that only me is interested in, like in terms of I'll probably never talk about this on the show, but that's the thing that I want to watch and pay attention to also. Unless it's like a really big college football weekend, and then they all get used. But the quad box on the big TV is the hack, because you would think unless it's Nebraska, then Nebraska goes on the big TV.
Yeah.
But the quad box on the big TV is the move. Otherwise, it's just you got to have as much quad box as possible.
So you put in 12 boxes?
No, I usually do end up having 6. So I'll do 4, 1, 1.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, because I want to be able to, whatever game I'm focused on the most, I want to have a full screen. But then I just need, it's sort of the rest.
Wait, so which TV gets the quad box then?
The biggest one, unless it's Nebraska.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I see. Yeah.
And then the second one gets the main screen, the one, and then the other one is like sort of my.
Do you always watch a Nebraska game with sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I feel like sometimes I have announcer prejudice.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like they're not very well prepared.
I agree.
And I do not like listening to the folks who come in and just like fly off of a whim. Nebraska's had some. They've had some crews that have done multiple games over the past few seasons, and they act like that they have known everything about the team, and they couldn't be more incorrect.
What was the one? Was it Colt McCoy on Colorado a couple years ago?
The NBC game? Yeah, that was bad.
Horrifying.
Well, and then he did the Iowa game at the end of the year.
Horrifying.
Yeah, that was tough.
Really bad.
I was at Kinnick, and he was walking into the stadium.
Yeah.
And we recognized him. We're like, that's Colt McCoy. We just couldn't think of anything witty to say, so we said, good luck with your broadcast. Got him.
Should have been like, the clock was at 0, bub.
Was it?
You got him with a bub.
Bub?
Yeah.
I don't know if bub hurts.
That's how you know it's disrespectful. Got him.
Have a good call, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
That sounds threatening.
So
that sounds like don't leave the stadium.
Yeah, have a good call, buddy. Depends on how you say it.
Pal.
Buddy can go a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
A lot of different directions. TK says he listens to this. He never listens to sound. He syncs it up with a Husker call. I would do that some back when it was DB. I might do it now with Jay Moore, who I think is going to join us more regularly.
Yes.
I'll be honest. When I'm working the multiple TVs, syncing up sound is kind of kind of a hassle.
Yeah, I'd understand.
Especially because sometimes
It's also a lot of overstimulation at that point.
Yes, and a lot of times I will like go back on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Like I'll rewind, like, hey, what just happened there?
You're like, oh, is that Brilliant Edwards?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, Brilliant Edwards just tearing it up. And then your sync is screwed up.
Yeah.
And so it's like that's not really an option.
Yeah.
I rewind too much. That's DB's fault. He used to tell me he would do that all the time. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And then I would, so I can't really syncing up the audio when you're rewinding things on the TV is not a good option.
I know that the radio replays are available. So maybe I should just go, because Sundays I love walking the dog or going on a run in the morning. Maybe that's when I should just replay the game.
Oh,
do the radio call that way and see what else I could pick up, and then visualize what I saw from the day before. I don't know if that would be good or not.
Yeah, I don't know how helpful that would be.
Yeah, I am a very traditional. Like, I do really enjoy listening to a radio broadcast.
I love a radio broadcast.
The only problem is I found out was when we were doing Hail Varsity postgame last year. Can't listen to the radio broadcast and be like, I have a lot of strong opinions on what happened. Now, was it easier when we were doing Akron and Houston Christian? 100%.
Yes.
Now, Houston Christian, we were in person, but I mean, that's a whole different.
It's true. That was Kenny's Hall of Fame game.
That was very much.
We were down there hanging out.
Yeah.
It's a good time. Didn't have to worry too much about what was.
Yeah,
going on.
remember when we were like, how long does this have to go?
Yeah. We also like, can we just go now?
Yeah, we were just cooking in the sun.
I think we started halfway through the fourth quarter.
We had to have.
We were just like, what's the.
Well, yeah, because people started cheering behind us. We were like, oh, they scored. Yeah, that's great.
Nebraska scored again. No, it was. I like the radio calls in terms of doing this job. I don't necessarily find, unless there's, like sometimes Jessica will give really good information from the sideline. Obviously, the analysis in years past with DB has been really good. So there's some value there, but I get more value out of like a television rewatch than I do out of the rate. So it's a time issue.
We might have to listen to the first one at least to see if Jay gives us any math.
Oh, that's true. We do need to see if there's math.
Who do you think gets the first math of the season? Because it's got to be a touchdown, right? Yep. So we can probably rule out special teams and defense. It would be great if that was the first one. But in my mind, Jay is an ultimate prepper. So I think he's already got one in mind. I'm going to say Calandria.
Like a doomsday prepper?
A little bit. I'm going to say it's Calandria. Oh, what's his ultimate? Who would be? I guess we don't know the single digits necessarily yet. Yeah. So that's going to change. If it's Calandria and Calandria is wearing 10.
Yeah.
1 + 0 is 1. So what? He's got to get to 6.
Or you go 1 + 0 is 1, and that's the first touchdown for Anthony Calandria as a Nebraska Cornhusker.
But didn't it always equal 6?
It did, but I mean, it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be the same.
That's right. He's his own man.
It also never really equaled 6.
Yeah. Well, he wouldn't get the math right anyway.
That's what I mean. Like it didn't actually ever equal what it was supposed to.
11.
Anyway.
7 + 4 is 11. -4 is 7. Where did the second 4 come in?
Why do we have to do that?
Come on, math, you dick.
I'm excited.
Rowdy says 10 - 4. Give me all 6 of them. Yeah, but where's the 4 come from?
Give me all 6 of them.
Where does that come from? I don't know. Like,
yeah, we see that's the problem is Jay's got to wait for those single digits to get
depends. It depends on how far the run is.
Oh, that's right. He did put yardage in. Yeah, that's right.
I forgot Rico was with us. R.I.P.
No longer. The voice coming from above.
Can I just say,
is he going to UNK Wayne State tonight?
No.
Oh, so Mr. Carney isn't a pro loper? Interesting.
Speaking of pouring one out, this is one of the worst energy drinks I've ever had in my life.
Okay, first off, Brandon bought those yesterday.
Listen, I appreciate the effort. I really do.
You were also mad that we went without you yesterday.
I was mad. I'm
sorry.
Listen,
you were busy.
I wasn't.
You weren't around.
Yes, I was.
Were you?
Yeah. Oh. I was in my office the entire time.
That's on me.
I'm saying I invite you guys to lunch all the time, and then you guys just have a little field.
Listen, I pulled an Uncle Ravi, and I bought everybody's lunch yesterday.
Yeah.
But it was significantly less than what you usually.
So
I was like, everybody's getting $1.50 pizza slice, and you're gonna like it.
That's because you got pizza from like Sam's Club or something.
Oh yeah. Listen, I'm smart about it.
What energy drink is that one? I have is it the retro vibe one? That's
no,
sherbet?
It is not.
Oh,
it's not. It is very bad though.
Is it aroma of orange?
No, there's not a
You said it tasted like pot. Now, how do you know that?
It tastes like the bathroom of a Fish concert smells.
Oh, a Fish concert?
Yeah.
Oh, gross.
Yeah. Listen,
What about Meatloaf? Is it like a Meatloaf concert?
I went to a public high school. I know what it smells like, you know?
Axe body spray?
No, I know.
Was Axe body spray big in Millard North?
Oh, yeah. Axe body. It was more like time frame, you know, early 2000s.
I don't think I can get in trouble with this anymore.
I love it when that starts like that.
When I was, I don't know how to phrase this other than graduating middle school, I suppose. The high school and middle school were a conjoined building.
Yeah, sure.
On the last day when everyone had checked out, I used athletic tape from whatever office or gym, whatever room that they had, and I took the last of an Axe body spray I found in a locker, because my job, like, I was part-time, like cleaning out lockers and stuff for the school, and I duct taped it and wrapped it, turned it on, and then threw it into the hallway.
You made an Axe body spray bomb?
Yeah. Well, not at a school.
You made an Axe.
It was at a school, though.
It was like a Molotov cocktail of Axe body spray.
Is that better?
What it was.
Is that better?
I don't know. Probably not. I didn't have to deal with it.
It was
Kids
a
at
scent
my
bomb.
school,
It was more of a scent bomb.
It was a scent bomb.
Yeah.
They would just stab it. They would just stab the Axe body spray.
That's very Iowa Western. That's very Iowa Western.
I went to Papillion.
I'm having you arrested, TK says. That's
Did you
fine.
see Heath's comment?
I had an ex who
No,
smelled
don't
like-
read it out loud. Don't read it out
Okay.
loud. Don't read it out loud.
Oh, that type of downstairs.
Not like the basement.
Yeah. No, that's what I thought. I was like, what's wrong with this comment? That's on me. Sorry, Heath.
Don't read it out loud. Whispers it ever so slightly on the air.
Yeah, that was like your most DB thing ever. Like, hey, can you hear me right
Well,
now?
I was just listen. I'm just do my thing. Hey, Rico, for our podcast listeners, could you read Heath's comment? Since you're not working.
Kenny says, I have one in the tank, but the player has to get exactly 17.6 yards on the play. TK, I think we're out of your jurisdiction.
Yeah, you can't arrest me.
He's a gingerbread man.
To be fair, if TK got me arrested, it'd be the first legal person, the first illegal activity that he actually got someone in prison for, instead of arresting only innocents.
Juan says, I used to make homemade flamethrowers with Axe.
Tell you what, Scottsbluff definitely needed Axe body spray. That would have covered up something. Do you imagine you just put that on top of the sugar plant? Town would have smelled at least 2 times better.
But yes, this is a very bad energy drink. That was the point of this whole
that's
conversation.
the point of this. Yeah, my bad.
And it started because my gas station establishment, apparently their systems were down this morning.
But were they? There's really no way to know.
I don't know. The doors were locked. There was a sign on the door that says, our systems are down. Sorry. So I don't really have any other evidence to go on besides
You should
that.
have just kept knocking on the door. You guys open? Hello?
Be like, listen, that pizza's going to go bad. There's a Best Buy date on there. Like, just let me eat. Just give me a pizza.
Yeah, you ever walk through any gas station?
Yeah.
They always have the food, whether it's pizza or sandwiches or whatever, the snacks, concessions items, and they say serve by whatever, and you check your watch and it is well past that time.
Yeah.
What is this still doing out? And can I get a discount? Because you're going to charge me full for this, but you yourself said I'm not supposed to eat this.
Up to your standard, this is not it anymore. And you're going to throw it away anyway.
Give me for $1. I'll take it for $1.
Yeah. Just give me a little
They
discount.
should just do that. Every time it expires, I'll take it for $1.
And you sign like a waiver of like, I'm not going to sue you if this makes me really, really sick.
I like those TikTok hacks where they tell you, if you go to Little Caesars in a half hour past closing, they have to give you pizza for free. I don't think that's true. I don't think they have to do that.
I don't think so either.
I think most of those people just say, whatever, man. I'm not worried about it.
They
Corn
take it
Raider
home for
says,
them.
we used our sister's Aquanet. Excellent flammability.
Oh, what's an Aquanet?
I think it's like a hairspray.
Oh, see, I thought waterbed.
No.
And I knew that couldn't be it.
No, that's not.
Do you have a
Although
waterbed?
maybe. No, it did not have a waterbed. I'm not that old. It's like
that old?
It's probably
My cousins had a waterbed.
by the time. Well, you're on delay out there.
That's fair. We were watching Digimon still, so
I think by the time I think it was like a high school, college age person thing. I don't think a lot of like kids had them because I think they were dangerous for children.
having a waterbed in college would have to be one of the worst activities you could have.
I don't know. But
When were waterbeds popular?
I think I think that time
Oh, the
period.
70s through the 80s. My bad. I didn't mean to age it like that.
Well, I know people that had them in the 90s. So I think
See,
they
that's
were,
what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
When I was
But it was like
early
10
2000s.
years. It was like 10 years before my age range would have been appropriate to have one.
they ever have this is a genuine question. Genuine question.
Okay.
I'm a kid. I'm just trying to learn.
Okay.
Do they ever have bunk bed water beds?
I never saw one.
Okay.
That would have been revolutionary.
That would have been a bit much.
Also, here's the problem: is sometimes they leaked.
Yeah.
So
or they would explode.
Yeah, they would just burst.
Yeah.
Basically, kind of like a bad water heater. Like when your water heater
that
goes
water's
out.
gonna be so nasty.
Oh, it's got to be terrible.
How did anyone ever get comfortable in a waterbed?
Probably smells like Heath's ex-basement. You know, like you gotta be careful there. Of her house.
I don't think he meant basement.
I think he did. That's how I took it.
That's a very PG way to say that. I'm surprised Rico never talked about it again.
Well,
thank you, Corey. That's very kind of you. Listen, anything Corey just said, called me an idiot, could have literally been about anything.
I was going to say that was...
Listen, you can insult me all you want. At least be specific. Help me improve. Let me be better. Now Corey's going to come back. He's going to misspell one of our coworkers' names. I guarantee it. Jesus. Rico, can you read that for our podcast listeners? Oh, Rowdy's on one today. Rowdy in Gothenburg.
Wyatt says, I had one growing up for a while.
Corey, bunk bed waterbeds. That was a genuine question. I asked. I was just asking, Corey. My bad. That's on me.
I mean, I don't know why it would have been impossible to do. It would have been a bad idea.
You don't think someone would have purchased like some marketing agency in the 80s was like, you know what? Kids like waterbeds. Kids like bunk beds. Bunk bed waterbeds.
Let's do. Oh, I guess that makes sense. It's too heavy.
That adds up.
Thank you, Kenny.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. You have to like triple frame that thing.
Yeah.
Better than Step Brothers.
That thing.
Were you going to say that thing? What was you saying?
Things so much room for activities. No, you'd have to you'd really have to hunker that thing down. That's probably not
Water
practical.
is heavy.
Water is heavy. It's also wet.
Thank you. That's
actively wet.
That's huge. That's great. Spike Under the Lights, should everything go Nebraska's way today,
yeah,
you should be able to watch some even tonight, even after high school football.
Yeah,
especially
what time?
if it's Burke, because that's just right around the corner from you.
Yeah, what time is that?
You should get a mobile scooter and you should scooter your way to Burke.
So I'm trying to figure out. I really don't want to walk over there,
but you don't want to park.
I also don't want to park.
You want to do the ultimate? Listen,
I'm not going to Uber. I'm not going to Uber. I'm not going to.
You kind of want to Uber.
No, if I do anything, I'll have my wife drop me off.
That'd be smart. Yeah.
But then she won't want to come pick me up.
Do you want? Let's see. Thinking about what time. I think Dr. Katie's off work around that time. You want me to
yeah, just have her come pick me up.
Hey, can you pick up Ravi quick? You guys can finally have your meeting you're supposed to be having.
Are we?
Who knows? We got to put this on the books.
I thought you were supposed to be there for that too.
You should do it individually first. Be like, I just want to make sure you two like each other.
Yeah, I should be like, hey, are you sure about this?
You know how this looks, right?
Should be like, you've met him, right? Like you sure about this?
Oh, that reminds Brandon. The meme you have of Pattinson being Chris Hansen, like standing like this, where he's holding beers, very funny. I used that and sent it to someone because I was going to meet up with them this weekend when I'm back in Kearney, and he responded, "This seems kind of offensive." I was like, "To who? Who's this offensive to?"
He's just offering you 2 beers. Nothing wrong with that.
You know how this looks, right? Yeah, it looks like 2 beers. Me and you having a beer. What's wrong with that? I think Chris Hansen's probably in the low end of people I want to have a beer with. I don't want to get into that psychology.
Yeah, he's got some stories. I don't necessarily need to.
Interesting stories, things I don't need to hear about.
Yeah,
better for Dateline, not better for me.
Not how I want to spend my free time while I'm having a beer or two. Having a couple of beers.
Yeah,
that's not. Jason says waterbeds were the memory foam of that era.
Oh,
interesting. Memory foam.
Are people still using memory foam?
I think it was like a fad, is what he means. Like the fad of that era. I don't think there's like a 1-to-1.
Are you a soft bed or a hard bed guy?
I prefer a softer mattress.
So you want to sink in,
not like
right away?
I don't want to sink, but I want it. I know some people are like, oh, those firmer mattresses are better for your back.
No way.
No, those things are terrible.
I don't like the memory foam or the hard set mattresses where it's a rock when you lay down and finally you fall asleep and then you wake up and you are sunk into it.
I don't want that.
I don't like that.
I don't like
that
foam.
at all. Yeah.
I like ones that are, it's probably like medium firmness, but a pillow top. So like the initial is soft and then there is some support.
Yep.
I don't want to sink.
Yeah.
Like I don't
I'm
like
with you.
that was my issue.
I don't want to be like Get Out, where I'm just like,
yeah,
drowning.
like that was the issue with waterbeds. It's like, how do you get out of them mugs? You know, you're
that
just
is
like,
true. You can't roll over because you roll over into water.
Yeah,
you're just
no,
doing the
it's not
backstroke.
great.
You can't be doing the backstroke in bed,
yeah.
Keith.
I mean, you could be. I don't know what other people do with their free time.
Adults do adult things, you know. Who am I to judge?
Not in waterbeds anymore.
Keep that in the basement.
That's right, Shane. That's right. Shane, you got a waterbed?
No.
Did you ever?
Yes.
I was gonna
Oh,
say,
really?
I guarantee he had a waterbed.
At what age range or time frame was this? Do you have Mohawk at the time?
No.
Okay.
High school.
God.
Okay.
that's still.
Why are you still? Why are
I
you still powering
forgot.
through?
I forgot. I gotta hold on. I gotta crack a Diet Coke so I have something to drink. That's terrible. My God, that's
You
bad.
should pour it in there.
No, I would never.
See, I went McDonald's coffee this morning.
I
Which,
wish,
by the way, this is my. I put the protein milk in here. It's not supposed to be that color.
I was gonna say that's
very white.
almost as white as you are.
Thank you. Yes. Should we check?
That's like Sydney coffee. It actually is a pretty similar.
Oh my God, that's embarrassing. Look at that.
That's
bad.
That's a very
Look at that
similar
thing.
color.
That's Austin if he got a little bit more sun.
This is. I'm darker than this.
No,
Don't quote that. Don't
Pull it.
no.
Pull it.
Perfect.
I do
the
think
trap worked.
I do think the coffee's a little darker. It's a different.
That is not true. I'm darker than the coffee.
You're
pinker
not
than
darker than the
coffee.
coffee. You're more red than the coffee. It's
Yeah,
different.
you're
Yeah, because I'm embarrassed. That's
you're,
why.
you're pinker than the coffee. The shades are different for sure. I don't know if darkness is the right.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? No. Anyway,
I think darkness is your coffee.
so you enjoy it. No, I'll shame about this later. This is too nerdy.
What, you gonna have to water beds?
No, I've got a real nerdy thing, but I'll ask
I
you
would love
later.
to hear that.
You want to hear it now?
Yeah, let's
now.
ask him.
Shane.
You're asking me?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad you moved a little bit on the screen there because it looked like you were wearing a Barney shirt. All I see is the. There you go. All I saw was the ARNEY. I thought you were wearing Barney and Friends. Speaking of nerdy, I'm out.
I love you. You love me.
We're gonna get copyrighted. Stop singing that.
Yeah, thanks. Now we can't monetize the podcast, Rico.
You're stunned.
I have a worse one of that. If you want to hear it, I have a worse version of that. So I had an Under Armour shirt. It was part of Dwayne Johnson, the Rocks collection or whatever, and it said "Rent's Due" on it. It was like a workout shirt. I was doing a show in Lincoln at the time, but I was over Zoom because I still lived here in Omaha and had to have a real job still. And you could only see about the very top of "Rent's Due," and so it just said the top part was rents. So it was RENTS. But you can only see the top half of each of those letters. It looked like my shirt just said penis across the top of it. And like I was hosting with Connor Happer at the time, and we were mid-conversation. And he just goes, "Hey, I'm sorry. What does your shirt say? Can I?" He's like, and I was like, it says rents due. And he's like, "Oh, I can only see like it. I thought your shirts. Yeah, I thought you just had a shirt that said penis on it."
Right,
I was like, "Happer, who has that shirt? Like, what is that?"
Spencer's.
Probably
100% Spencer's. Listen,
R.I.P. to a mall legend, Spencer's.
Spencer's was a dream. You'd walk in there and you'd buy a shot glass like super sneakily, and you're like, "Can't let my parents know about this." What are you gonna do with that? Don't walk to the back of a Spencer's though. That's the scariest part.
The funny thing about Spencer's is when you were in high school, you felt like you were the most dangerous person on the planet walking into a Spencer's.
Yep. And then someone would Healy by you, and you're like, "Oh, that's sick."
And you're like, "Oh man, I need to get some of those."
Yeah, Healy's rocked.
That's dope.
I love Healy's.
That makes sense.
We had a pair of Heelys that we kept in our whatever, just like in our family. For a
Wait,
long
you
time.
had like a family pair of Heelys?
Yeah, it went from my older brother when they were popular to my middle brother and then to me. And I took them to college. I squeezed into them size 10s and I Heelyd one day on campus at UNK. And it rocked. I almost hydroplaned. I was going so fast.
Once as in middle school in gym class, a girl had a shirt that said "Messy hair, don't care." He said, "I did not see the ME."
Oh.
TK says only degenerates went to Spencer's. Yeah, those are the people you're arresting now.
I think Spencer's bought Spirit Halloween, and that's just not a good combination.
Ooh, that is a bad combo.
Oof.
Yeah. Those blow-up dolls are a little different between the two stores. You gotta be careful of those things.
Whoa.
You gotta be careful. I'm just that's
The
just
costumes have changed.
TK says Spencer's is a gateway store. Or Kenny says TK says Spencer's is a gateway store to the adult bookstore.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's smut, man.
Josh Hoover used to go to Spencer's.
That's we have disproven that.
Allegedly.
We have disproven that.
Allegedly, it's been disproven.
We can't let a furry win the national championship.
We
cannot let that.
It can't happen.
He also can't win the Big Ten. We cannot have him be the representative.
No, he cannot. He cannot represent us. It's not allowable in any way, shape, or form.
Oh yeah,
can't have it. Cannot do it. No Josh Hoover.
No Josh Hoover. Throw up your X's.
Let's take a quick break here. I want to get to our AC. Rico,
I just got to reset here. This is crazy.
Rico, do you have the ACC list ready?
They are ready and loaded up.
Dope. All right, we're going to get to our ACC quarterback tier rankings. I thought this one was easier than the Big 12. The Big 12 was the hardest one for sure. I thought.
You thought the Big 12 was harder?
Yeah, I did. I thought the Big 12 was harder.
This one was interesting.
Mustache Adams and Chris Hansen got to start setting up shop in the back of Spencer's.
You know how this looks, right? It's fair.
Juan, I'm not going to read that, but that's funny. That's pretty funny. That's awesome. I'm Ravi. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
I say this every time people ask me, but she is genuinely one of my favorite people I've ever met. She is so sweet, and I know on the court, like, she's so intimidating and she's so intense, but she's the sweetest human being I have ever met. And she actually came and saw me in May, and I like to take credit for this, but she's actually dating one of my friends from home. He was in my friend group, and I grew up with him since I was 5, and they're in a relationship now, and I like to take credit for it, even though I didn't necessarily do anything. But she comes back to Michigan, and I get to see her, and I'm really glad that we have that relationship, because like we can talk about, you know, our like the experiences that we're having after games, or like what our plans are. Like, she was at the ESPYs too, so I got to see her, and she's just been really fun to like learn from. Volleyball and as a person, and our moms are really close, so it's fun that like we all get to all hang out and like take our minds off of volleyball for a little bit. But I can't say more good things about her. Like, there's so many, I don't even have any more to say.
Your schedule is filling up. Get back to busy at Edwards Kia. Lease the 2027 Kia Seltos S starting at just $269 a month. Ready for every run on the calendar. 2 great leases, 1 less thing to worry about. We've also got the 2026 Kia Sportage EX starting at $249 a month. Don't wait. Get back to busy this August at Edwards Kia.
He's got great energy. You know, he's talked about his competitiveness. You know, he's as fiery as anybody when a successful play happens. He's as fiery as anybody when a play doesn't happen. You know, I heard Coach say that we're trying to win every play, and he's invested into every play. You know, things that we talk about as a team is, you know, we'll learn from that next play and move on. You know, sometimes there's too much emotion in maybe a play that transfers into the next play. So that's something we constantly strive to. Hey, let's put all our emotion and emphasis on a play, but once that happens, let's learn from it and move on.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's awesome. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. We are having a great time here.
Something like that.
Definitely not talking about all sorts of things. We'll just leave it at that.
Listen, we talk sports. We got everything else that you need.
There's a lot going on.
Yep.
Hey, by the way, you're going to ask me a question. I apologize.
Not anymore, Shane. I don't care. Sorry. That window is shut.
All right, Barney.
Great prank.
Rico, we're gonna do our quarterback draft tomorrow. Do you have the winners, the listeners that are gonna draft?
I do.
Okay, good talk. Would you like?
Do we know who they are?
Would you like to share that with the class?
No, I would not. Yes, I would
Okay.
like to share it. Give me 2 seconds.
All right, buying time for Radio Rico.
It's totally fine. So we've got 4 listeners that are going to draft with us tomorrow at 8 a.m. Rico is going to message you. So keep an eye out on your Discord private messages because that's how he's going to contact you, and then he'll get you the StreamYard link. It'll be my team, Austin's team, Rico and Brandon's team, Tim's team, and then we will have 4 listeners draft
3.
as well. We will have 3 listeners draft as well. And then we will have our categories. We've got each from one of the power conferences.
Yep.
1 from the group of 5. And then 1 wild card that you can pick after you've gotten all your other conferences down.
Okay. Perfect.
6 total quarterbacks.
So our 3 listeners are Mesa Josh, TK, and Colson.
Oh,
because
there you
Funky
go.
Giblets was going to join, but he had a meeting scheduled right at 8 o'clock.
Funky.
You gotta tell
Dang
those.
it.
You gotta tell those guys the GTFO, man.
I've got a more important meeting to get to.
Yeah.
God,
Be
that's
like,
tough.
hey guys, we've got important things.
You know what? Totally fine. More quarterbacks for the rest of us. There's going to be someone's going to have a tough time.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have some crappy quarterbacks. So that's why I wanted enough people.
And we're snake drafting, correct?
Yeah, I wanted it to be difficult
Mhm.
to draft by the end of it. Like I wanted there to be tough choices to be made where you're like, oof.
It does.
Am I really looking at Isaiah Marshall here?
Yeah, it does make the drafting very interesting depending on how you evaluate how deep the conferences are.
Yeah.
Because if it's a priority to get the best quarterback in a conference first, that's it really depends on where you sit on the draft.
I think
We've also got to determine a draft order too. We might have to
do.
do random generator on that.
I do
The
think this
ACC quarterbacks are going to be hard to like. I think like the first 2 people to pick ACC will have that conference on lock.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the ACC because we've
Why
done
is
our
that?
we've done our tier rankings in the ACC.
We do.
We have them, and Rico has the graphics ready because I
Let's go.
sent mine before 9 o'clock last night.
Wow. I sent mine late this morning. That's on me, Rico. I'm sorry.
That's totally on me.
It's okay,
Yeah,
pick
after
first.
I'm gonna be honest. After the first 3 quarterbacks,
There's one huge category, in my opinion.
okay, I don't have. Let's bring yours up first.
Okay. All right.
Because I don't. I guess there's one category that's pretty large, but I
Yeah.
don't know that it's outsized compared to everybody else.
So mine, the heavy one is transfers. There's a lot of transfers.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of guys that either we know a little bit about or we don't have a very strong opinion on.
So here's what I did is
Okay.
I actually split up the transfers. I basically took guys that we know nothing about and left them in the transfer category, and the other guys that have extensive playing time, I put in the vets with questions.
So I put that a little bit with Ashton Daniels, Bo Perbula, that kind of stuff. The main one for me that I actually was the toughest one to decide where to put him. This is going to be a little bit wild, but Darian Mensah, and I don't really know why. I have this weird gut feeling that something's not right, and I don't know why I have that feeling. His stats prove it. He's
done it at multiple stops.
He was in
levels
the
of football. ACC last year.
He won the ACC championship game a year ago.
So you would think, hey, this is a guy that is used to it's not like he's changing level of competition.
No.
And he's got better players around him now.
Yeah, and so I don't know why I have this weird feeling, but everything statistically, analytically, and even your eyes would tell you, I just have a very strange gut feeling that there's just something off about it. But because of the way of the nature of our tiers, I have to go sure thing there. And like you said, I think the more appropriate thing is that if the only question you have on Mensah is that has he ever faced this level of pressure, which is no, right?
No.
Because he has the most expectations on his entire shoulders that he's ever had, more than when he was at Duke, more than when he was at Tulane. So Mensah is the only sure thing that I feel in the ACC. The rest,
I do have another sure thing.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I do.
So I floated putting Kevin Jennings in my sure thing.
He was not my sure thing.
So the only reason I did is because at this point, we kind of know what he is. We know that he's going to throw picks. We know he's going to take chances, but he's been fairly consistent.
He has. My one question with him was, can he cut down on the turnovers?
100%. And that's why I put him in that cacategory too.
My other sure thing is CJ Bailey.
I like CJ Bailey a lot.
He's been very consistent, even as a true freshman or the first year he was playing 2 years ago. He improved a little bit last year from that, but even like I think he falls right in that category. We have 2 years of solid production out of him. I think CJ Bailey's a sure thing.
The only question I have, and this was a big one because they're going to start on Saturday in a game that's going to matter for NC State and for Virginia, is 8 of his 9 interceptions last year came against 3 teams: Duke, Notre Dame, Miami.
Yep.
So can you limit turnovers and play in big spots against big teams?
Sure.
That's the biggest question left for Bailey. And honestly, if he answers that, he's right up there. And NC State could be one of those teams to maybe just watch out for, especially if he's playing the way that he can.
The only reason I didn't count that against him is we didn't count that against Dante Moore.
That's fair.
Is we put him in the sure thing category still. Overall, I think the production is, hey, this guy is going to get you probably 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns. Like I feel very confident CJ Bailey is going to provide that.
I think the only difference for me was in the Dante Moore to CJ Bailey conversation, which I mean, arguably we're probably the only show that's probably made that sort of comparison, is that you can say that the team around Dante Moore
will help him out a ton,
uphold him a little bit more, that he doesn't have to have the biggest or flashiest performance. CJ Bailey has to play well.
I will say CJ Bailey has 2 years of consistent production and Dante Moore has just the one. So
that's very true.
I think there is a balance there. I don't have a huge problem not putting CJ Bailey in the sure things. I did. I had Kevin Jennings in my one question to answer. So talk to me about how you differentiated with the veterans with questions versus the transfers.
So this is where things got interesting because you're right. There are a lot of transfers that almost fit closer to the young guns category, like Alberto Mendoza. What have we really seen from him? Like, truthfully, the Boston College guy came from, I think, a Division II or an FCS school.
He was a Division II, yeah.
Billy Edwards Jr., we've seen him in multiple spots, but we haven't seen enough of him. He barely played at Wisconsin. He got hurt in like the first series of the first game a year ago. This is his third location that he's been to in college football. I just don't feel confident enough to say I know what his issues are, even though that he has been to multiple spots. Comparative maybe with Prabula at Virginia than the rest of the transfers, we saw how exciting his potential was at Penn State. People were clamoring for him to stay at Penn State and Happy Valley to, either contend for a quarterback spot in the future or to just be a part of what they thought was a national championship piece a year ago as a backup quarterback in situational roles. Just very less exciting results at Missouri.
Yeah.
He never really completely took over as the offensive linchpin, as the guy who was always creating big plays or doing kind of the big activities. I thought Prabula was more of a, what is your ceiling rather than what is your floor? Because I feel like we saw a lot of the floor at Missouri more than we ever saw what his high potential could be. And then Ashton Daniels at Florida State, I threw in there late because I did forget late. I was like, I'm missing a school. Who is this? And truthfully with Daniels, it's more about the Florida State part of it. But with Daniels too, it is, what can we expect? How are you going to elevate this roster and where Florida State needs to be?
Yeah.
Are you going to play well enough to basically save Norvell's job? And I have a lot of questions on if Florida State's going to be able to do that.
Yeah, so for that reason, I put Ashton Daniels in the Iowa QB.
Wow. Okay.
I have 3 guys in the Iowa QB category.
Okay. You can flip over if you'd like, Rico.
I've got Davis Warren, as you did, because I just don't think he's very good.
A lot of vets with questions.
Mason McKenzie, the D2 transfer. He put up okay numbers, and I get that he won like the conference player of the year in the same conference that Trinidad Chambliss was in and all this kind of stuff. His team was only 6-5 at D2. Like, that's kind of red flaggy for me a little bit. There was also some turnovers there at the Division II level that I don't feel great about. And then Ashton, like, nobody wants that guy as your starting quarterback.
That's fair.
He was incredibly underwhelming as a pickup for Florida State, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's it. That's the guy." I mean, fans down there right now are transferring or are clamoring for a JUCO transfer that they got to start over him. Nobody wants these guys. So those are my Iowa quarterbacks. The differentiation I made between transfers and vets with questions. The transfers, basically, none of them have started full time.
Yeah, I mean, Lincoln Kienholz is one of the more interesting ones
from an upside standpoint.
Yes,
yeah.
and but we just haven't seen any of his play.
Exactly.
We've heard about him, right? And you keep hearing all this other stuff, quarterback battles and how close it was and da-da-da, but we've never seen him in full action.
Same thing with Ethan Grunkmeyer. We've heard a lot about him when he was at Penn State.
More tape on him, though.
Got a little bit of tape on him last year
But
after
they were also so run heavy.
Yes.
When he was their starter.
So I don't feel like we know much about him. Same thing with Walker Eget and Alberto Mendoza. All transfers, just don't have a lot of information on any of these guys.
Do you have an opinion between Franklin going with Grunkmeyer rather than Prabula?
I think last year hurt Prabula a lot.
Oh yeah,
in that sense, I think, and I do think a lot of people look at Grunkmeyer as just hyper talented. That was sort of the narrative about him last year after Aller got hurt, and I think James Franklin just looked at him and was like, I like that he's a little bit younger.
Yes, it has more eligibility.
Left, and I think a lot of people look at him and say his upside is higher. So I don't. Especially after the year that Prabula had at Missouri, like I wasn't surprised by that at all. Like he finally got his chance and did not do well.
I think there is a top shelf of the best versions of some of these ACC quarterbacks, and then there is a whole lot of mid.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of gray in this conference when it comes to that.
I thought the young guns were super easy. Just you had two guys who played well last year as true freshmen. Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
like I thought that was a very clear-cut category for me. As I mentioned, I've got Bailey in Sure Things instead of Vets with Questions, or instead of one question to answer. Kevin Jennings, like if he can cut down on the turnovers, SMU probably wins that league.
Yeah,
that's a really good team. If he can not give the ball away against higher level opponents, SMU has a great shot to win that league.
I don't know what their schedule is.
It's basically, I would think, them and Miami.
Yeah, I mean, Miami is going to be the favorite, as they should be, right off the top. I think Virginia is a little more active, but with Prabula being the quarterback.
I also just don't think they're talented enough from a top-end standpoint to be in the Miami conversation.
Yeah.
I think SMU and Miami are both very good and could definitely win the league.
SMU, Florida State in the Labor Day opener?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, Florida State has a Saturday game this week.
Oh, so they get a game ahead?
Yeah,
that's
it's like Louisiana Monroe, maybe. Yeah, no, it's one of those. I think it's one of those Louisiana directional schools.
SMU is going to go through some of the teams for that top spot. So they don't have Miami, but they play Florida State, Louisville. They have Virginia, Cal, Virginia Tech, and then Notre Dame in their second to last game of the year. Obviously, Notre Dame's not going to matter in the ACC conversation, but the rest of them,
they're going to have to go through it.
Yeah, I mean, you win all those games, you win the ACC.
Yeah.
So.
We're going to take a quick break here. We've got Scott Dochterman coming up next. We're going to get into a little bit of all the rules that have been put in place in the last few days about NFL people coming back and what that looks like for the landscape of college football. And I do kind of want to get into just the general narrative around this, because this does seem very much like a one-year problem.
Yeah.
That we're making a lot of. So I don't know. I want to get into that with Scott Dochterman.
Don't forget the Castellanos of it all too.
Listen, if Texas Tech wants him, they can have him. I went through the Castellanos experience last year. After the Alabama game, it was not ideal. That's awesome. I'm Ravi. We'll be right back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
Your schedule is filling up. Get back to busy at Edwards Kia. Lease the 2027 Kia Seltos S starting at just $269 a month. Ready for every run on the calendar. 2 great leases, 1 less thing to worry about. We've also got the 2026 Kia Sportage EX starting at $249 a month. Don't wait. Get back to busy this August at Edwards Kia.
What was it like being coached by Bo?
Being coached by Bo Pelini was the greatest experience of my life. It was also the most challenging thing I've ever encountered. He's the type of man that demanded perfection, and he made things difficult, but he knew that in doing so, it was preparing us for our next phase of life, and that had something to do that was outside of football. He was doing his best to raise good men and good members of the community, and I think he did a very successful job with that. When you look back at the number of guys that come back to Nebraska that are involved with the Team Jack Foundation, that give back to the community, I'm very proud of my head coach and the guys that I got to play for him with.
I think that there's just so much to think about, and there is just a lot of pieces and parts, a lot of pros and cons, and we suspected that it might get passed, but I think that our class was really trying to just stay present and stay in the moment, and I think that's even for me now, is to just take that opportunity and to really think about all the possibilities, weigh all of my options before I go and make a decision, because this is my future. So I think that it's not just a small decision that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stay or I'm gonna leave. I think that there's way more to think about than just, oh my gosh, like I should stay for this. Like people are like, oh, well, there's a lot of money here and there's a lot of opportunity, and that's great, but I kind of have to decide what is it about for me and why would I stay or why would I leave. But yeah, I don't think it's as clear of a decision as people might think it is.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Male Medical. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. We are joined now by Scott Dochterman from The Athletic. Scott, how are we doing this morning?
I'm great. How's it going this morning, guys?
It's going very well, Scott. Very excited to be able to talk with you. How have you been able to handle all the news and new rulings that have been coming across college football over the past, what's it been now? 8 days? A week? I mean, it feels like this changes rapidly every single time that we refresh any of our timelines.
You know what? I can't wait to lose my mind over a bad call or something at a football game. Somebody's, it's getting so old. I mean, it seems like this entire year has been nothing but court rulings. It's been nothing but Congress. And, really since going back to this amazing performance in January by Indiana, all we're talking about are all the things coming on and off the field or off the field. And it's like, I feel like I'm so far behind in my prep for who's actually going to be playing these games and who's good and who transferred to what school. So it's been very difficult to keep track of everything, but it is an important part of it because if Daquan Wright can actually play and suit up for LSU, I mean, it makes LSU it could mean the difference in one game, which may mean the difference between whether LSU goes to the playoff or a fourth Big Ten team. So it's just really it's a really an important part of the sport, and it's unfortunate because we just want to write about the games at this point.
Scott, yeah, I'm curious because it seems like in terms of the actual play on the field, the sport's in an incredibly healthy place, partially because of NIL, right? You have a lot of guys coming back to school that maybe would have been mid-round draft picks because they're like, well, I can make more money coming back to school than I could as a fourth-round draft pick. So the quality of play is actually really, really high. But then off the field, it's just a total mess. Like that dichotomy is like really strange to deal with as somebody that covers college football for a living.
Oh yeah, it is really difficult because, as you said, I mean, on the field it's been great. I mean, the product is really it's never been more popular across the board. It used to be popular regionally, now it's popular nationally and regionally, and I think that's what's made it so exciting. I think NIL and the transfer portal, people don't want to poo-poo both, but in some ways it's been better for the sport because with the transfer portal. Now if your team loses a lot, they can go out and get a better player, and then for the players themselves, they can improve their livelihoods, their draft status. it's instead of having to sit out a year when they transfer, that they could actually play right away, and that's been really good. And then, as you mentioned, I mean, the thing we all seem to overlook with college football and college athletics is the college part of it. And if you could stay in school for another year, get your degree rather than leave early. I mean, I used to do the NFL. It's been 20 plus years now, but you'd see so many guys leave with 1 year left just because they wanted or they needed a paycheck. And now they can get it in college. And in a lot of cases, especially at quarterback, you're guaranteed a lot more if you stay in college than you do if you go out and become a sixth round, seventh round, free agent type guy. So I think that it's just everything else circling it has to get figured out. Maybe this is the growing pains part of it. And if Congress passes the Protect College Sports Act, then I think we might be in a situation where it all kind of finally coalesces. But right now, it's been pretty frustrating.
Scott, when it comes to this entirety of the offseason that's been going on so far, it feels like you mentioned, from the national championship game, we had the Sorsby ruling, and then we've had the NFL additions that have come onto rosters now just weeks before, or days even before, the college football season starts. At this point, are you tired of saying, oh, I can't be surprised anymore, or I'm shocked that this happened? Like, do you feel like we're getting to a point where nothing will be a surprise when any of these rulings come down, or what could happen next in college football?
Yeah, I've kind of ceased to been surprised in lately, but there are things that, or at least shocked, I should say, somewhat surprised. I think the NFL ruling, to me, that one and Sorsby, when you have local courts that are, what are they doing the work that really they shouldn't do. They're activist judges is what they are, and where they're making these rulings on a local fan level. I think that needs to be taken out of the sport, and that's probably, if nothing else, those two rulings, Sorsby and the NFL players, shows that there needs to be some sort of national law to allow the NCAA to be able to put forth these rules. So I think if this can happen soon, whether it's in the coming month, once Congress comes back from its reset or recess, then I think you probably can at least get some sort of balance. Because if it doesn't happen, then I think what you'll see is the SEC and Big Ten specifically, not necessarily break away, but really form their own rules and do their own thing. And I don't think that's healthy for the sport either.
Scott, when you're looking at this situation, specifically the NFL players, because I know there's some of the conferences have made rules about professionals in general being able to play for them, but let's stick with the NFL players specifically here. Do you think maybe, I don't want to say it's overblown, but it does seem like a limited time problem in terms of the 5-for-5 ruling? Is it naive of me to think that, this wouldn't be an issue moving forward, and it's just specific to the guys on the 5-for-5 ruling being left out from last year? Or do you think there is a probability that there would be a larger issue on this moving forward?
The NFL thing is just a 1 year. This is just a 1 year issue, and it's just one. But and because, as you said, this is just detailing 5-over-5. In the future, you're not going to have this except for maybe somebody who leaves early, goes to a camp, gets cut, and but I think there's the precedent as well, because you just don't want that. You don't want somebody that, whether, let's say they left after year 3 and they go to a camp, they get drafted later than expected. Maybe they play for a year and then they get cut and they decide, well, I can go back to college, and then for your 5th year after playing a year in the NFL. And so that's where you want to stop it and nip it in the bud, that there is a difference between being in college or an amateur versus being a professional. I mean, I know the lines are completely blurred, but I do think that there needs to be some sort of rule in place, because right now there just isn't anything. And so I think that's something that they want to prevent in the future. But it's, whether it's the timing of them enacting this rule was laughable. I mean, this was something that we talk about, obviously, at the Athletic quite a bit. And as soon as the NCAA Division I Council started putting forth the 5-over-5, and I'm like, they need to postpone this move until September, because you're going to have retroactively all these players, especially basketball players, all jump in because, I mean, come on, they're not. There's a ton that aren't going to get drafted. They're going to either go overseas or go to the G League. That'll never make anything close to what they will in college basketball, and lo and behold, that's what we've seen. So, I think, but with football, you hope that this is just a 1-year thing, but I think this scenario I spelled out there, where somebody leaves after year 3, plays a year or two in the NFL, or a year in the NFL, and have one more year and come back, I think that will definitely happen.
Well, what would you say to the people that make the argument that, I mean, why shouldn't these guys have an opportunity to come back? They haven't played in an NFL game. They have, according to the judges' rulings, have an extra year of eligibility. For the guys that haven't, that either have been cut or have not, were never signed, or things like that, like a Tommy Castellanos, what would you say to people that's like, why shouldn't they be able to come back and play for this last year?
I don't, I guess I'd be interjecting more of my own opinion on this. I don't necessarily have a problem if somebody went undrafted. Stephen Daly, for instance, at Indiana, Tom Castellanos is another one, but specifically Stephen Daly, he got hurt last year in the Big Ten after the Big Ten championship game, given a high five, didn't get drafted, wasn't in a camp. Um, and I don't think that's a big deal. I think that's an extension of the 5/5. I think where it does draw on the line is you've been in an NFL draft, in NFL training camp, and you've maybe played in preseason games or something. I think that is where you start to look and go, okay, now is there a line of separation, or is there no separation whatsoever? And it's, establishing that these players have already gotten paid. I don't think that people have it's so blurred these days that it's hard to really, figure out who is a pro and who is an amateur. But I think if you allow them to say, "Hey, I'm going to go to the Ravens, and then I'm going to come back and go to Iowa, or go to, in Daquan Wright's case, sign with the Browns, get cut in training camp, and then hit the transfer portal, and then go from Ole Miss to LSU." I mean, that's. That just doesn't feel right, and I think sometimes we don't. Everything is getting stretched so far in the rules that you really want to prevent this, because we talked about it with basketball last year. Where players are getting drafted, and then coming back, and I just don't think that's right for college athletes. I mean, you think about the 18 and 19-year-olds who are entering college football or basketball, and then next thing you know, oh, here comes a guy from the NBA or the NFL that's coming back and playing. I think at some point you got to draw the line, and so if you sign as a professional, I think you should not be allowed to play in college sports.
Scott, is your line drawn when it comes to players moving back and forth between the professional fields like training camp, or what you've said with the NBA, example, that they're going back to other schools and other programs? Or would you be more open to an idea that they're coming from NFL training camps and their only option is to return to the school that they were last at for that final year of eligibility?
I guess I haven't thought that much as far as to offer my opinion on it. I just think it just doesn't look right. It's like, hey, I Daquan Wright's case, I was at Ole Miss last year. I went to the Browns, and then all of a sudden I'm going to hit the portal, and then I'm going to go to one of their biggest rivals in LSU, which just happens to have my own old coach. But then again, you could probably convince me that it's not that bad if you're talking about an FCS player who maybe signed a free agent contract, and maybe they went to I don't know, South Dakota State or something like that. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, they were pretty good. Maybe they were FCS All-American or All Missouri Valley Conference player. They go to the Vikings, they get cut, or and then all of a sudden Minnesota wants them, or Iowa State or something like that. I'd probably be like, that's not so bad. So I guess it's all relative. I just feel like once you sign a pro contract, that should end your amateur status. But again, the courts have one court has ruled otherwise. And I guess we'll see.
Scott, let's talk a little actual football here, since we are just mere days away from.
Before we get to that, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got one more question just about the conference rules and all that sort of stuff. Apologize.
No, go ahead.
I know you wanted to get to football, but with all the conferences making their own ruling, I feel like that maybe I'm wrong, but I don't feel like there's been a lot of precedence in what the conferences have been doing, coming out with their own rulings first, and then everyone just follows suit. The Big 12 did it with Sorsby, that they all came together. They were out there first with the NFL players coming back from training camps and such. Do you think that this is a long-term benefit, or do you think it could hurt long-term for those conferences starting to get a little bit more individualized and asserting their own rules, not only across their conference, but also just in how they compete in college football?
It's kind of going back to the past in some ways. I mean, what we saw, yeah, up until maybe the 2000s, where there wasn't a lot of uniformity in certain things. I mean, Prop 48, I guess it'd be, in the 90s even, where different conferences, some were allowed to sign way more players than others. Some were allowed to sign players who didn't academically qualify, and others did. And there's been more uniformity probably in the last 30 years than there were in the previous 100 when it came to college football. So I don't have a problem with this. And in fact, it's probably healthy in this specific case that the Big Ten came out first, the SEC quickly followed, the Big 12 has followed. And that is that they're doing it individually. But I also think for all of them not to do it would be a smart move too. And because you always worry about collusion. And in this case, if all the conferences, especially all the power conferences, decided in uniformity to enact these rules, then next thing you know, they're going to be charged with collusion as a cartel, and that could really be add more stress to the already stressed system. So I think this would be it's probably good that and healthy that some of them are enacting it. And then if Congress doesn't get involved, it's going to be a lot of this because the SEC and Big Ten will start pushing forth its own rules.
All right, Scott, let's talk a little bit about actual football since the offseason has been such a mess. And, we've gotten through all that. We're finally within a couple days of seeing actual football being played on the field. Is there a narrative or a storyline that you're most interested in terms of on-field play? Obviously it's like, can Indiana keep this up? Can Oregon finally break through? Like, is there one of those that you're like, hey, this is one of the things I'm most interested in seeing this year?
I would start with, can the Big Ten win 4 in a row? And I would say the odds are fairly decent that they can. I mean, I think you have 3 of the top 6 teams ranked wise, but maybe 3 of the top 4 or 5 teams in the country are competing in the Big Ten. And I think to me that's where I start, mainly because I cover the Big Ten. But Ohio State, Oregon, and Indiana all can win it. Any of the 3 can win it all. And so I probably would start, if you want to single out one team, it's probably Oregon. Can Oregon finally get over the top? It's never won a national title. It's been very close. It's played for a national title a couple of times. And 2 years ago, it was the number 1 team in the country and got beat decisively by Ohio State in a rematch. And last year made it to the semifinals, and then Indiana popped it. I think Oregon has the roster to win it. They have the best defensive line in the country, one of the best returning quarterbacks, a plethora of skill position players who could do it all that were injured last year in a lot of cases. Evan Stewart's coming back after an ACL. I think he's really good. DeCorian Moore was one of the best players in the country. They got a great tight end, good running backs, terrific offensive line. So that the ones that are returning. And so I think this is, can Oregon get over the top and win it? And kind of in hand, can the Big Ten continue to establish itself as the best conference? Because head to head with the SEC in the postseason, it's over the last 2 years, it's 8-2. It's 22-10 overall. It's had 6 different teams advance to the semifinals in the last 3 years. I think this is, I think to me that's the story. And then the flip side of that is, can the SEC return to what it considers its dominance? It was the dominant force in the sport for 2 decades practically, and at least a decade and a half. And can it, reestablish itself? But with the fact that it adds a 9th game, how is that going to impact it when it comes to playoff selection? Because half the teams are going to get one more loss, and I think that will impact somebody like an LSU or an Ole Miss or Texas A&M, Oklahoma, teams that are could be 9-3 instead of 10-2, and when it comes down to it, they may not get into the playoffs. So I think that really is what stands out to me going into this season.
Scott, when you're looking at whether it's Oregon, I'm going to throw Indiana in there and Michigan as well. Three of the what are now, I guess, premier brands in the Big Ten. Feels weird to include Indiana in that conversation, but here we are. More interesting in terms of changes for you. The both coordinators at Oregon, the quarterback at Indiana, or the head coach at Michigan?
Head coach of Michigan for sure. That was the program. It's strange to think, just the mess that Michigan has been for, well, really since Harbaugh got there, but specifically the last couple of years. I mean, when they win the national title, he gets suspended for the last 3 games of the regular season, and against two of the best opponents, Penn State and Ohio State, and they still win the national title. And then what we've seen with him leaving, all the NCAA issues, Sharon Moore's gross misconduct, and then they go out and they get an adult in Kyle Whittingham. I mean, a guy who's a Hall of Famer at some point, and he sort of retired from Utah, but then ended up at Michigan. How is that going to work out? And then you throw on the fact that Michigan has an incredibly talented quarterback who was the #1 overall recruit last year and played as a true freshman. And he flashed, but he's also is very inconsistent. And I think it's very possible that if Kyle Whittingham can get him right, that Michigan can be one of the best teams in the sport. But then you also look at their schedule and you think, wow, if any team goes 9-3 and deserves to have playoff discussion about them, I think it's definitely Michigan, because week 2 they play Oklahoma at home. They open the Big Ten against Iowa. That's going to be a really physical, tough game. Later on in the season, they play Oregon, Indiana, and Ohio State. They go to Nebraska. They play Michigan State, which is always a physical grind. I mean, so they have and Minnesota. They go to Minnesota, and I think Minnesota's a decent team. So they have a very challenging schedule with a new coach, with a quarterback who is, again, very talented but inconsistent. But they also have the roster that can handle a lot of it. So I think Michigan is probably the most interesting team in the league right now.
Scott, I'm glad that you bring up Minnesota. I'm curious your thoughts. Do you have a good feel on how this season may go for Minnesota? Do you think this is maybe one of those classic, we overlook Minnesota and PJ Fleck and he catches a couple of people by surprise and he spoils a few seasons? Or do you think that maybe some of the relative calm and cool, I guess, buzz that's been around the program heading into this offseason is rightfully granted just because maybe they're not in that middle tier of the Big Ten?
I think they are the overlooked team in the Big Ten right now. They have good players returning at all the right spots. You've got to start with defensive end with Anthony Smith. He's the leading, he had the most sacks of any player in the Big Ten. He came back. They paid him pretty well to do it, but he's a terrific defensive end, one of the best in the country. You start on offense with Drake Lindsay and at quarterback, and he had a really nice year as his first-time starter. So he's going into his redshirt sophomore year, and a lot of upside, and even a lot of NFL people think he's a first-round draft pick. He just has all the tangibles you're looking for. So can he take that to another level? They return center and left tackle on the offensive line, 2 pivotal positions. Running back Darius Taylor, who's been there forever. He's been hurt quite a bit, but he's very talented. And then on defense, at every level, along with Anthony Smith, you have Maverick Barnowski at linebacker, really talented player. Kerry Brown at safety. They lose Coy Parrish to Oregon, but John Nestor's one of the better corners in the Big Ten. And so at all these really pivotal positions, they have guys returning. And PJ Fleck, has only had one really outstanding year, you would say, in 2019 when they went 11-2, but he's had a lot of solid years. They've been bowl eligible in just about every year. They've competed with a lot of really good teams, and so I think that they are, at some point, they're going to have one of these years that they will come out of nowhere and put themselves in, maybe they're in the top 20, maybe they're in 9-win territory, or, on the periphery of the college football playoff. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if it's this year. They have obviously some difficult games. They play, Michigan right off the bat, and week 2 in the Big Ten. They also play Oregon later, Iowa, which PJ's never beaten them in Minneapolis, so that'll be tough. But I think they've got the ability to really compete and win a couple of those. Michigan and Iowa, for instance, I wouldn't put them out on either one of those games. And I think Minnesota could be a sneaky decent team this year.
Scott, if you had to take the SEC and the Big Ten, because you said one of the most interesting things you're interested in is whether or not the Big Ten can win a 4th national title in a row. If you're taking the SEC and the Big Ten, who do you think has the most national championship contenders, and who do you think is deeper overall as a conference?
Great question. I would say that the SEC here's the difference between the two. First of all, that I don't think is really ever been thrown out there, and that is when people say the SEC is deeper. I say it's deeper based on team brand as opposed to actual team play. Because when you start throwing out schools like Auburn, Tennessee, Florida, you start to immediately conjure that they've got a really great program because they've won national titles but in reality, if you put Auburn on the field with Illinois, or like we did last year with Tennessee and Illinois, or Vanderbilt won 10 games last year, you put them on the field with Iowa, the Big Ten teams won. And in Iowa's case, won decisively. It was a touchdown game, by a touchdown, but it was really more like a 2-touchdown game. And yet, but there's this myth, I guess, that the SEC is so much deeper and better. It's just depth of brand. But so now, as far as championship caliber teams, I will go with the SEC. I think there are 6, 7, 8 teams that have that ability to get there. I think at the top, Georgia, Texas probably stand out. Alabama's close. Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Oklahoma. I think all of those teams could be in that discussion. I think South Carolina should bounce back. Tennessee is decent. So I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody.
LSU.
LSU. Oh yeah, duh. They actually do have a chance to to run the full race. Whereas in the Big Ten, I'm looking at it as there are 3 teams, as I mentioned, that stand out to me as absolute contenders, and then there's about 5 or 6 that I think can get in the playoff and do some damage, but I wouldn't necessarily put them as championship contenders. LSU or USC would be one. I think Penn State's that's the team I'm thinking is going to go to the playoff. I mean, you look at their schedule, and they have the second easiest in the Big Ten. Matt Campbell is a really good coach, and I think we'll see that over time at Penn State. And the thing is, with people are saying, well, he's bringing all these Iowa State guys. Well, who would have thought that Cignetti could bring a bunch of JMU guys and go to the playoff? I think an 8-4 Iowa State team that had a lot of injuries last year was pretty decent, and the best of those players ended up at Penn State. So I think Penn State's in that discussion. I think Iowa can be, if it figures out quarterback and defensive line. I like Michigan if it can navigate the tough schedule and get Bryce Underwood to playing a little bit better. Washington has a really good quarterback. Some question marks as to whether it can get there, but I think that out of those like 5 or 6 teams in the Big Ten, I don't know that I would pick any of them to, have much of a chance to win the national title. Versus in the SEC, I think you could say 6, 7, 8 teams maybe all have a chance to win the national title.
That is Scott Dochterman from The Athletic. Scott, appreciate the time as always. Great stuff. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Scott.
That is Scott Dochterman from The Athletic. I think I would put, for the kind of categories he put the SEC in, I think I would include USC and Michigan in those categories of teams that could win a national title for the Big Ten. I think I would.
Yeah, USC's got to survive.
Yeah,
they got a tough one.
I mean, they've got the schedule, and there's questions for sure.
I mean, a Michigan upside too. Yeah, I could see that.
Are there more questions about USC than there are Alabama? Or are we just used to Alabama being that team?
Yeah, you're right. There's more questions with Alabama. I mean, they're bringing in a brand new starting quarterback.
Keelan Russell,
be playing his first college football.
And I'll be honest, again, these Kalen DeBoer Alabama teams have been incredibly undisciplined.
Yeah,
and they've lacked some toughness. So I think there's a lot of questions there.
I'm notably out on Texas A&M, so I wouldn't have thrown them in that conversation either.
Are there more questions about Oklahoma than there are Michigan? I mean, you've got Mateer. We don't know if he
Yeah.
can stay healthy. Like, I know that
The
Oklahoma's
upside of Bryce Underwood. Yeah.
like, so maybe Oklahoma's not the right example there. Maybe it's LSU.
I think Oklahoma and Michigan are kind of one and the same.
I think so. I think they're
Yeah.
very similar. Are there more questions about Ole Miss than there are about USC? Like,
I think the real conversation is who are your front runners,
Yeah.
and then how many in their ultimate ceiling season, how many of those teams can win a national championship, right? That's more of what it is. They're probably closer than we first deem. I do think you probably lean a little bit more to the SEC side because you might have to stretch a little bit more to say that Michigan wins it, or that another Big Ten team outside of the top 3 might. But the SEC, what the best version of Oklahoma? Do they win the national championship? I think that they have to go through a path that is not easy, right? But we've seen teams be able to do that even just last year. I mean, Miami made it to the championship game, and they had kind of notably a tougher draw through most of the conference, not just conference, but also their college football playoff run.
I think there's only 2 legitimate contenders in the SEC. Like,
Okay.
I think they can win a national title.
Georgia
and Texas.
Yeah.
I think there are 3 in the Big Ten.
And again, some people might not even say Texas just because Sark.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more questions on their head coach than there is anywhere else on their roster.
I think
truthfully.
Sark and Lanning are pretty similar in that sense of
And
can they get over the hump?
And some people would put LSU into that category too, which is we still have to see. It's an expensive roster.
It is
but
an
that does not
expensive
necessarily
roster.
mean that it's a winning roster.
Yeah, their roster was real expensive last
Yeah.
year too. It didn't get them anywhere.
Do you think we're going to know how we feel about LSU? Like, would you be ready to move LSU after what you see in week 1 against Clemson?
No. I don't think Clemson
Week
is
3
that
against Ole Miss.
No. Because I think Ole Miss I don't think Clemson's that good, and I think Ole Miss is regressing.
Okay.
So here's the thing that we don't talk about with Lane Kiffin, and he's gotten weird, but I was a really big Lane Kiffin proponent for a long time. He's
born in Omaha, so
Nebraska guy. So we'll take him. He actually has really struggled in some of these big game moments.
Yes, yeah.
Ole Miss before last year had actually underachieved quite a bit. They were, I believe, 2 years ago, a 3-loss team, and people thought they should have made the playoff easily, and they didn't. And then, notably, he left before they made their college football playoff run.
Yeah.
So, there is a thing here with Lane Kiffin that we don't really talk about. I think he immediately elevates your floor. I don't know how much different he is than some of the guys we talk. We talk about Lane Kiffin in a totally different way than we talk about Steve Sarkisian, and I don't know that they're different.
Well, he had 2 losses in every single season leading up to this last year at Ole Miss, where he got them to 11-1, but then did not coach in the playoff, and obviously wasn't there to take the second loss by any means. But a playoff loss, regular season loss are 2 different
Way
things.
different. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. Even in Ole Miss's best seasons, 10-3 in 21, 11-2 in 23, 10-3 in 24, which that 24 team
was supposed to be.
They were supposed
that's
to
like
be
Jackson Dart.
Yes.
That team
Yeah.
was supposed to be like a juggernaut, and they lost a couple games they should not have.
Absolutely. Yeah, they were at the highest point. They were number 5 in the AP poll. They were preseason number 6. They finished 11th and winning the Gator Bowl. Last year went 11-1. They ended up 3rd overall, but again, that was because of the playoff run that they ended up on. Yeah, no, Lane is. Sometimes they succumb to a weird game here and there, and it's more than just once. Like, they just don't have like a one-off, this is a weird bad game. It is always, there's 2 or 3 lumped in there.
And we talk about Lane Kiffin in a way that I don't think is supported by what we've actually seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's supported in terms of the category that we put him in with other guys. And Sarkisian is, I think, very similar in that way, but I think more people are aware of it with Sarkisian than they are with Kiffin. There's like some hiccups sometimes where you're just like, I don't really love what I saw there. That wasn't really how this was supposed to go from a talent standpoint. They're generally never outmatched. Sometimes they have equal talent, but they're never outmatched, and yet they lose games that they really shouldn't.
Yeah. They've never been able to win a game that they play bad in.
Yeah,
they just overcome all the obstacles, or a quarterback has a bad day, or the defense is getting run over. Like
you're not winning a C- game.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that's the one. Like, Georgia will win C- games.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State will win C- games. Is
that a talent thing? You're just more talented. You can make more mistakes, so you make them up later.
I don't know. I think when you're not playing your best, I think it ends up being a coaching thing where it's like you can get your guys through that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times in situations with a Lane Kiffin or a Steve Sarkisian, you just expect the talent to take over at some point without realizing, like, hey, this isn't our day. We have to find a way to win anyway. Yeah. And I think that's a thing where we talk about these guys at a category where, like, that was the thing I think Nick Saban was best at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could throw a C- game out there, and chances are he was going to win 90% of those.
Oh, yeah.
And now they didn't throw very many of those by the end of that. But early on, especially when he hadn't figured out offense yet, ironically, before he hired Lane Kiffin, before he had figured out the offensive part of this thing, there were a lot of C-, C- C+ games in the Alabama Nick Saban era, and they still won national championships.
Because there's a lot of scoring 17 or 20 points and getting through it.
Yeah, a lot of like 9-6s against LSU and
game of the century.
And we're just like, God no. I will take Tua versus Burrow over 9-6.
That was a lot of fun.
Any day of the week.
Yeah.
Like that was a phenomenal football game.
Yep.
But like that's what I mean. Like Kiffin and Sarkisian specifically are in totally different categories than I think Kirby Smart is. And he's really the only guy in that conference that fits that bill right now.
Yeah.
Indiana last year we found a way to win C+, C- games, right? When they played Penn State down to the wire, they figured like they should have lost that game. And then you come up with a miracle to win that thing. I think it was Cooper in the end zone with the unbelievable toe tap. I still don't even know how he caught it, right?
I mean, if you want to talk about SEC collusion, everyone should be rooting for Georgia in that conference, I think.
Why?
Just because not only what you mentioned with the Sark,
best real shot to actually win the title.
Yeah, to not let the Big Ten run rampant again. Because if we're all in agreement that it's going to be either an SEC or a Big Ten team that will win the national title this year, which I think many people would say is probably true.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many bullets you get in the gun, you got to have the biggest gun.
Yeah.
That's how I feel, right? Like, I mean, if there's
I would say it doesn't matter how many bullets you have if you don't shoot straight, right? Like that's the
right.
I think that's the thing with Texas and LSU specifically. I would not be surprised if Ole Miss doesn't make the playoff. Like that wouldn't surprise me at all. I think Oklahoma probably does. It wouldn't surprise me if Alabama doesn't. A&M I could go either way on, but I'd probably lean towards they do make the playoff. Although the Marcel Reed without Colin Klein thing I do think is really interesting to see how that plays out. But, I mean, we just went through, I feel maybe good about 3 or 4 teams of for sure making the playoff. And
which, again, that's the thing, though, is that matches the Big Ten.
100%.
That's where we started this conversation.
100%.
Yeah.
I think there's as many, if not more, Big Ten teams where I go, I feel better about their situation and their questions more. Like, I'm not putting Tennessee in that category for sure.
Oh, no. No.
You know, they're starting a true freshman at quarterback. They've underachieved the last couple of years. I do lean. I actually am a little bit more positive on Oklahoma, despite my Mateer hate last year. If he can stay healthy, I think they're in good shape. I have a lot of questions about Alabama. Like I really like Kalen DeBoer as a head football coach. I do think we're in a spot where this thing could get away from them early.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how much confidence there still is with Kalen DeBoer. If like the Keelan Russell thing isn't happening fast, I don't know what that's going to look like for him.
I also just don't like the assumption that, well, you know, Alabama, they have a great roster. They're going to get better as the season goes on. That hasn't really been the case the past couple of years.
Frankly,
like they have
frequently not the case in the SEC.
Yes.
That's the thing we get distracted by with the SEC a lot. The brand names, like Scott talked about. And I've done that exercise before. I was like, are we sure Tennessee's better than Illinois? Are we sure that we really think Kentucky's better than Minnesota or whatever? We think Auburn's better than Minnesota. Like we've seen this over and over again, right? But the other thing that we do is because we're like, okay, well, they've got these star rankings and these guys and they won the transfer portal and whatever, that we assume at some point they're going to figure it out. And a lot of times they just don't.
Yep.
South Carolina never figured it out last year. Everybody was obsessed with South Carolina coming into I think they were top 12 in the country preseason last year.
Yes, yeah.
Top 12 or 13. They were really highly touted based on I don't know what exactly.
Well, 2 NFL players.
Cool.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, Nebraska had 2 NFL players, like not in the same rounds, but you know what I mean? Like,
good argument.
It's Nebraska was not talked about this way, and rightfully so. You know, I look at South Carolina, I'm like, I don't know why we're doing this with them. That's how, and I'll be honest, we're making a lot of assumptions about Pete Golding based on 3 games.
Yeah. They were big games, though.
They were big games.
They were big games. They performed well. And
You
they
know
were
who
right there with
played
Miami at the end.
Incredible in 3 big games. Cardale Jones.
That's true.
I know quarterback versus head coach. I get that, but like sometimes the adrenaline and the pressure kind of coalesces, and let's not pretend like
things still changed after those
playoff
appearances too.
Things still change after those playoff appearances, and you also it's I think, way easier to keep a thing on the rails when you're 90% of the way there, and you can coalesce around like Kiffin didn't want to be with you guys, like you can do an us against the world thing and whatever. All that's gone. Like you're going to have to really laser in on these guys because let's be honest, it's a lot easier to stay focused when you're in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
It's a whole different conversation when you're starting from zero and trying to get through an entire season. We have no idea what Pete Golding is as a head coach. None whatsoever. He didn't even want to be the head coach. The players talked him into it. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it's a thing, right?
He just wanted to stay behind the scenes.
Like that's a thing. I don't know.
He doesn't like doing media days. That's all.
That's fine.
Blame him.
That's part of the job.
Yeah.
But I do think there is something to be like, he didn't even really want the job. Like that matters. He's been pretty open about that. Does it matter for the good or the bad? I really don't know, but I do think it's a factor here. The assumptions about Ole Miss, I think, are freaking me out a little bit.
Okay.
Like I'm pumping the brakes on that. I'm not feeling, and maybe they'll prove all those things wrong and Pete Golding will be a great head coach and that's fine. But this is the same place I was at with a lot of the quarterbacks last year. We're making assumptions that we do not have enough evidence to back up. We're making assumptions about guys like Lenore Sellers and DJ Lagway and Arch Manning and things like that we did not have nearly enough evidence to back up. That's how I feel about Ole Miss right now. That's how I feel about LSU right now. That's how I feel about Alabama right now. Like, we just do not have enough evidence to make the assumptions about these teams that we're making right now.
Yeah.
I think we do have a lot more information about some of the Big Ten teams.
I'm glad you got that off your chest.
I feel better about it.
Any time that you can hate on the SEC, I'm just glad you're
always
able to do it.
Always. It's not even hate. It's just, evidence.
You know who doesn't hate the SEC?
Who?
Brian Edwards.
He loves the SEC.
Yeah. Florida boy.
You know who Florida's not better than? Most of the Big Ten.
Oh, yeah. I was actually thinking, and I was like, who's he going to say? Minnesota or Florida? Who would you take?
Minnesota.
Yeah, I would too.
I mean, I think that's been pretty
I don't
clear.
know if I would say, like Scott said, that they're a super dark horse college football playoff team.
Minnesota?
But, yeah.
I'm not
Listen, they win the right games. I mean, anything's possible, right?
I mean, that's true for anybody, I
yeah,
suppose.
that's true. You can apply that to anything.
It's week 0. Everybody's a playoff contender
That
today.
is true. No one's lost yet. Well, except maybe Florida State. But
always losing. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. We'll be right back with Brian Edwards here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
I say this every time people ask me, but she is genuinely one of my favorite people I've ever met. She is so sweet, and I know on the court, like, she's so intimidating and she's so intense, but she's the sweetest human being I have ever met. And she actually came and saw me in May. And I like to take credit for this, but she's actually dating one of my friends from home. He was in my friend group, and I grew up with him since I was 5, and they're in a relationship now, and I like to take credit for it, even though I didn't necessarily do anything. But she comes back to Michigan, and I get to see her, and I'm really glad that we have that relationship because, like, we can talk about, our, like, the experiences that we're having after games or, like, what our plans are. Like, she was at the ESPYs too. So I got to see her, and she's just been really fun to, like, learn from, volleyball and as a person. And our moms are really close, so it's fun that, like, we all get to all hang out and like take our minds off of volleyball for a little bit. But I can't say more good things about her. Like, there's so many. I don't even have any more to say.
Your schedule is filling up. Get back to busy at Edwards Kia. Lease the 2027 Kia Seltos S starting at just $269 a month. Ready for every run on the calendar. 2 great leases, 1 less thing to worry about. We've also got the 2026 Kia Sportage EX starting at $249 a month. Don't wait. Get back to busy this August at Edwards Kia.
He's got great energy. He's talked about his competitiveness. He's as fiery as anybody when a successful play happens. He's as fiery as anybody when a play doesn't happen. I heard Coach say that we're trying to win every play, and he's invested into every play. Things that we talk about as a team is, we'll learn from that next play and move on. Sometimes there's too much emotion in maybe a play that transfers into the next play. So that's something we constantly strive to. Hey, let's put all our emotion and emphasis on a play, but once that happens, let's learn from it and move on.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. We are joined now by Brian Edwards from Major Wager. B, how we doing this morning?
You tell me, am I echoing or not?
No, we can hear you. Look at that.
Zero echo.
Brian Edwards. I'm glad we sent Shane down to make sure that all got fixed for you. That must have been a magical week that you guys spent together fixing technology.
All we talked was Raiders football.
How does he feel about Fernando Mendoza?
He's very wishy-washy, just like I am. Right, Shane? Is that right, Shane?
Maybe.
Okay.
Wait, Brian, so you're not putting any Raiders futures in? Is that what you're saying? That's crazy.
I'm glad you brought that up. No futures. However, Mike Washington over rushing yards props. Well, I don't know what the number's going to be, so it's hard for me to say that right now, but I was all over his rushing yards props at Arkansas, overs that is, on a regular basis, and especially if Genty's going to miss a week or two or three, boy, I would love for that number to be in like the 50s week one. I have no idea what the number will be, though.
We do have some numbers on games because we have actual football this week.
Real football.
We have real college football. I can't wait. There are a couple of actual decent games on the schedule as well. First and foremost, Virginia and NC State getting after it. That's probably the marquee game of the weekend. How are you feeling about that one?
So, I wasn't feeling Virginia at 5.5, and I was thinking until the availability report comes out last night, and 16 Virginia players are out, but I think that's very misleading. Really, there's two guys that are definite starters on defense, and one of them's a superstar in Cam Robinson, who, by the way, has 3 career pick sixes. But he's questionable, and Corey Costner's questionable. So those two guys are very important, and they're questionable. So I'd like to have more information on them, but I don't know that we'll have it before game time. But really, of the guys out, the only major one is Rico Flores, wide receiver, who's one of their better transfer gets from UCLA. So anyway, when the availability report came out last night, and by the way, I think it was 6 NC State players are out. None of those guys were starters, so just FYI on that. But when it came out, the line moved from 5.5 to 4. So anywho, If it were to get to 3.5, I would probably buy the 0.5 point to 3 and go with Virginia. Right now, I'm thinking Virginia might be a good money line parlay piece, which, maybe you could put that with TCU. Other potential dance partners to week 1 that I kind of like in teasers or money line parlays would include Ole Miss, which is 6.5 against Louisville. So I would like them in a money line parlay. You can put Virginia in along with TCU and or LSU maybe in a money line parlay, and or Auburn in Atlanta to Baylor. There's just a couple of options, but I don't know that I'm going to lay 4 with Virginia, but if the line keeps moving, I would become more interested in them.
Brian, I'm curious just because it is that conference on conference matchup for not only just week 1, but it's week 0. Do you put any weight into that when you're kind of looking at these lines, that it is a game that's going to matter down the road, not just because it's that first matchup of the season?
I mean, not so much. I mean, I think everybody's motivated for the opener. If you're more motivated because it's a conference game, great. But I think that works for both teams and both sides. I don't know that anybody necessarily has a competitive advantage there. But yeah, it means more, but I don't know that it helps me bet on it.
As you're looking at lines that are moving, another one that's had some movement is that TCU North Carolina game. I know you were locked in on TCU early. How does that line movement make you feel?
Well, I knew it was coming. I mean, I hope I said it on this show. I know I said it. I've been saying it for weeks on other platforms, and hopefully this one as well. That you ought to buy that 0.5 point from 7.5 to 7, because I think it's going higher, and it didn't move until a little bit after noon yesterday. And it initially moved to 8.5, and now a lot of books are at 9.5, and I don't know that it's done moving. So, but obviously I feel better about TCU at -7, but I like it all the way up to 10. Certainly if it's 10 or fewer, I still think it's TCU or pass. So, yeah, it's not like I'm trying to hedge with North Carolina right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to buy North Carolina from 9.5 to 10 and have a 7 to 10 hedge. No, I like my TCU, and I'm sticking with TCU.
I don't think we had talked about North Carolina much in the off season as we were going through teams here. Like, what are you doing with North Carolina overall as a team? The Bill Belichick of it all seems like a total disaster. They've had a lot of, obviously his son's on a leave of absence. You've got Billy Edwards, who I feel like we know way too much about at this point and almost nothing about at all. It's a very strange situation in Chapel Hill.
Yeah, I mean, Billy Edwards was about as uninspiring a transfer portal, get in terms to be your starter. I think he was like the number 52 guy ranked in the portal, in the quarterback position. I just don't get it. And, not only the DC Belichick's son is on medical leave, but, Lombardi's gone on paid leave for the HR investigation. I mean, Jordan Hudson's been the least of their drama the last month or two. I mean, and I just don't think they're going to be any good. And, to Lombardi's credit, they got a pretty good recruiting class. It was ranked number 22 overall, but number 52 in transfer-specific guys. So they did a good job recruiting high school, but not that good in the portal. I don't really get that. Do we really think Belichick's going to be around for this 5-year contract? I don't understand the strategy there. And again, Billy Edwards is about as uninspiring a portal get as a starting QB that I can imagine.
Well, I mean, you don't have to go far to imagine maybe a less inspiring one with Ashton Daniels at Florida State. That one's pretty bad too.
I get what you're saying. However, I had a lot of money on Vanderbilt against Auburn last year, and I've been criticizing Auburn all year because they didn't force feed Cam Coleman, and Jackson Arnold would just be getting all this pressure and not just throw it up for grabs to Cam Coleman. Let him go get it. And that's what Ashton Daniels did that whole game, and Auburn scored 38 points, and I had to sweat that game for 4 hours and got one of the more fortunate spread covers, -6.5, when Vandy won by 7 in overtime. So I'm just saying, I watched that guy ball out, and he had me sweating for 4 hours one day. So there is that.
B, in terms of maybe not the super marquee matchups that come up with this upcoming Saturday, North Dakota State somewhat interesting, right? A lot of people know the name, know the brand. What do you like so far from them and going into that first matchup with Jacksonville State?
Well, I'm going to go with Jacksonville State +7, and I hate I didn't get it earlier because I believe it was as high as 9, maybe even a touch higher a month or two back. But and it's really nothing against North Dakota State. I mean, they've obviously been an FCS juggernaut forever, but they're taking a step up in class. It's really more about Jacksonville State. I mean, they lose Rich Rod, and he took some guys with him, and obviously they lost Cam Cook, who led the nation or led the country in rushing yards last year. They lost him this past offseason. But last year, without Rich Rod, they didn't miss a beat. They won exactly 9 for the 4th straight season. And Charles Kelly, formerly Florida State defensive coordinator under Jimbo back in the day, he got them to the 2nd straight Conference USA championship game. They ended up going 9-5, but 4 of their 5 losses were by 7 or fewer. And I mentioned that, and that's notable because we're catching 7 points in this game. And I like their quarterback, Caden Creel. He had 1,076 rushing yards, 7 tutties, 5.9 yards per carry average last year, and a 9-4 TDI&T ratio. The Gamecocks had the 2nd best recruiting class in Conference USA. They got 8 Power 4 transfers. And North Dakota State's recruiting numbers were way worse than Jacksonville State. They only got 3 Power 4 transfers, and 1 is a punter who never played at Minnesota in 3 years, according to Phil Steele's mag. And North Dakota State is replacing their quarterback. They lost their 2 best receivers and 2 best running backs. So I'm going to go Jack State +7.
Just for the record, I wasn't a big Charles Kelly defensive coordinator fan. I was more of a Jeremy Pruitt guy. I was a Jeremy Pruitt guy in terms of the DCs under Jimbo. So I want to make the record clear on that.
To be fair, better defensive coordinator name as well. I mean, Pruitt sounds like a guy that is meant to coach defense, even at any level. High school, middle school, doesn't matter. Pruitt is your defensive coordinator no matter what.
Where's that guy? Is he still in rural Alabama coaching high school?
He might be. He did not do well in the Tennessee head coaching situation.
That's right.
That was not ideal for him. He should have just hung it out with Jimbo.
Yes, indeed. And his press conferences. Oh boy, he's Southern, and I'm Southern.
I mean, the funny thing about Jeremy Pruitt, do you remember he was at Hoover High?
That's right, when they were on television, right?
Yeah, when they were on MTV, he was on 2-a-days at Hoover High, wow. And so I was like, and then I think Saban hired him. I think he came from Bama to Florida State, and it was a whole thing. Anyway,
Saban was watching MTV.
Saban was like, 2-a-days, baby, let's do this. He's all in. The last one, low-key kind of good matchup to wrap up week 0, UNLV and Memphis. I'm fascinated by the whole Dan Mullen experience out at UNLV. Obviously, it worked out well last year, at least to the tune of Anthony Calandri ending up at Nebraska and them getting a 10-win season. What do you like in the UNLV-Memphis game?
By the way, a little birdie tells me if things don't go well for Jeff Levy, it's pretty much a done deal that Mullen's coming back to Starkville. But anyway, UNLV, that kind of surprised me as well. Memphis UNLV during the feel-good hours late Saturday night. Let's go over here, and the total's 56.5. So 56 is a key number on a total because it's a multiple 7. So let's buy that half point from 56.5 to 56. And so Mullen, UNLV's games last year averaged 62.1 points per game combined. He's got a stud running back, Jaden Thomas. Back 12 touchdowns, 7.2 yards per carry average. Last year, he's a 2-time All-Mountain West pick. And Mullen, I think he's going to start Jackson Arnold, but he says he's going to split reps with another Power 4 transfer, Michigan, ex-Michigan QB Alex Orji. Phil Steele's national unit rankings have UNLV number 37 at QB, 35 at running back, 47 on the O-line. That's very good for a group of 5 school or group of 6, whatever we're calling it now. And so Memphis's new QB is Marcus Stokes, which is kind of funny because he was an original verbal commit to Florida under Mullen, and he was a stud at West Florida, 44 touchdowns in 18 career starts. Also had 587 career rushing yards in those 2 seasons. And the Tigers brought in 19 transfers from Power 4 programs, a lot of those on the offensive side of the ball. I think we're going to get a lot of offense. Let's go over 56 behind the hook.
Okay, so Brian, I'm curious just on that Mississippi State note, because they are so passionate about Mullen back there, right? Like he's almost folklore-ish, the way that he brought that program up and everything. Is there anything that could happen at UNLV if the bottom falls out that he wouldn't have that job if what transpires, like you're saying, occurs?
You know, that little birdie that told me that is pretty dialed in source in Mississippi. He didn't mention UNLV going 5-7 and what the scenario would be. So I don't, you know, I can't accurately answer that. But I think it's looking good if things go sideways on Levy this year that Mullen will be coming back to Starkville, and I think he would be there to stay, unlike last time.
I'd like that pick too. Mullen there just makes sense, and I think he's one of the more underrated coaches. I think he didn't get a really fair shake from leaving Mississippi State either. I think. I mean, you know better than anybody.
Well, I mean, look, he had one bad year at Florida. Him and the AD had started to fall out. Him and the fan base had started to fall out after year 3, and that annoyed me from the fan. I was mad at my fan base at Florida, but I didn't. I was one of the last holdouts on firing Mullen. But at halftime of that South Carolina game, when we were down like whatever we were down, like 24-zip as a 21-point favorite, I joined the I'm out on Mullen Club at the halftime of that game. But anyhow, yeah, look, he was saying the other day, and I guess this is true. If we'd had a 12-team playoff, he said this a week or two back on an interview that we would have been in the playoff those 3 years if it had been a 12-team playoff. And it sounds like that's almost right. I'm not sure if that would have been right the first year. I think we finished in the top 15. But anyway, we definitely would have been in the playoff in year 2 and year 3 if it had been a 12-team. So yes, and he didn't have the new facility that Napier had for recruiting, and he didn't have that army of a staff that Billy Bob had. Oh God, I can't stand Napier.
Just for a follow-up here. So Jeremy Pruitt is, ironically enough, now a quality control assistant at Jacksonville State under Charles Kelly.
Wow.
Look at that.
Prior to that, though, he got approval on his NCAA show cause penalty to get hired there. But apparently before that, if Wikipedia is not lying to me, he was teaching PE and coaching junior high boys basketball prior to that for about
rocks.
2 years.
Good for him.
He was
name the town. I'm sure you're looking at it.
It was DeKalb County it was DeKalb County. In
that's
Georgia.
Atlanta area or a little outside of Atlanta.
Yeah, so that was he was way off the radar the last couple of years.
Listen, a guy's got to stay busy. You know, you have a lot of free time. You got to do something, right?
Well, look, Jack State is right by Talladega, so I think Jacksonville State is sort of rural Alabama as well. I mean, there's a college campus, but it's kind of rural Alabama as well.
Listen, he's going back to his roots in those Hoover days, you know?
Yes. No doubt about it.
All right, B, enjoy a weekend of college football. We've waited so long. We're finally here, and best of luck on your picks this week.
Thanks, gentlemen. Y'all have a great weekend.
Thanks, B.
That is Brian Edwards from Major Wager. We'll take a quick break here. We've got Michael Bruntz coming up next from Husker 24/7. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
Your schedule is filling up. Get back to busy at Edwards Kia. Lease the 2027 Kia Seltos S starting at just $269 a month. Ready for every run on the calendar. 2 great leases, 1 less thing to worry about. We've also got the 2026 Kia Sportage EX starting at $249 a month. Don't wait. Get back to busy this August at Edwards Kia.
What was it like being coached by Bo?
Being coached by Bo Pelini was the greatest experience of my life. It was also the most challenging thing I've ever encountered. He's the type of man that demanded perfection, and he made things difficult, but he knew that in doing so, it was preparing us for our next phase of life. And that had something to do that was outside of football. He was doing his best to raise good men and good members of the community, and I think he did a very successful job with that. When you look back at the number of guys that come back to Nebraska that are involved with the Team Jack Foundation, that give back to the community, I'm very proud of my head coach and the guys that I got to play for him with.
I think that there's just so much to think about, and there is just a lot of pieces and parts, a lot of pros and cons, and we suspected that it might get passed, but I think that our class was really trying to just stay present and stay in the moment, and I think that's even for me now, is to just take that opportunity and to really think about all the possibilities, weigh all of my options before I go and make a decision, because this is my future. So I think that it's not just a small decision that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stay or I'm gonna leave. I think that there's way more to think about than just, oh my gosh, like I should stay for this. Like people are like, oh, well, there's a lot of money here and there's a lot of opportunity, and that's great, but I kind of have to decide, what is it about for me and why would I stay or why would I leave? But yeah, I don't think it's as clear of a decision as people might think it is.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Mail Medical. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports HQ, reminding you to give our friends over at Next Gen a call, 402-614-9700. Was just over there the other day to pick up my stuff.
Nice. What'd you get?
We got my tirzepatide, the GLP-1 for weight loss, and we got some tesamorelin.
Whoa, you just like saying that.
I do like saying tesamorelin.
It's a fun word.
It's one of my peptides, helps with recovery, works in concert with the tirzepatide to help with the weight loss and all sorts of good stuff. Maintain your muscle mass while you're on the GLP-1s. Great stuff.
That's what I need.
You
do. Maintain my muscle mass.
You need to cultivate the mass,
Yeah, sure.
Cultivating mass all the time.
Thank you. Yes, I try to.
Give them a call, 402-614-9700. It's Next Gen Mail Medical.
I did do the morning workout today.
Did you?
I was yawning all the way through it. That was brutal.
Yeah.
You ever yawn through a workout? Oh,
yeah, I have.
You feel like you're never locked in. It's tough.
I have. I used to go and lead workouts at Grace University at like 6 a.m. before I'd go to work. And so I was yawning through helping them work out. And then I'd lift for about an hour, hour and a half before I would head into work. Those were some sleepy days. Very sleepy days.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at Kel Jam. You got a picture of Tessa Moreland? I was wondering if she was attractive.
I think she looks good as hell. A little short. It's a short little bottle.
Oh, yeah?
But short little bottle. But,
Shorty?
Shawty. Bruntz will be joining us here in just a minute. But, no,
I think he's in.
We'll give him a second.
In the green room. Yeah,
we'll give him
a minute. Yeah.
Settle in. Lots going on there. But, no, good stuff there from Brian. I'm excited to I did check in the break on North Carolina's over/under. It is only 4.5, so probably not a lot of value there in trying to short them.
Right.
But I also did check on his Dan Mullen claim, and I think he's right. I think if you go by the final regular season standings of each of those seasons, I do think he would have made the college football playoff in the first 3 seasons if it was a 12 team from 2018 to 2020.
And then 2020 obviously would have been a little bit different of a year. But yeah, going through those results and everything, 1-score losses, and they would have been right there with the 12-team playoff.
Finished top 12 in, I believe, the AP poll, top 13 in the 12 in the coaches, 13 in the AP poll, all 3 of those years, and then obviously the last year there. So he really just have the one bad year. That's tough. That's tough. It's tough out there.
No, I like what he's done at UNLV.
I do too.
Got a good quarterback.
I do wonder.
Not Alex Orji.
I do wonder about the going back to Mississippi State. That's a really hard job.
Yeah, but he's the only one who's been successful there.
Long term, yeah, for sure.
But also, success is so different at Mississippi State comparative to a lot of the other programs that are there.
True.
I think that they understand what they are, and so they're just trying to reach for something that had been good.
I believe Mike Leach was relatively successful there.
Well, but also remember too the level of draft picks that they were sending out, because you had Dak, you had Chris Jones. They had a couple of defensive tackles that were in there too, if I remember right. Is Derek Brown in there? I can't remember.
They had a good run though. They had a good run of talent.
There was a lot of really good Mississippi State players that were going out during his time there. That I wonder if they get more credit, obviously, for the wins. I mean, they were the first team ever rated number 1 in the college football playoff, like the first initial rankings.
You might be
that was
right.
the Dak years, and I think they were unbeaten at the time. So
you might be right.
You got to remember all the good stuff, but even now, the fact that he's still having success, even on the lower level at UNLV, you probably do feel pretty good. I don't think that they're necessarily completely out on Levy, but I mean, any bad season or you don't meet if he goes 4-8, I don't doubt that they would probably want to move on to someone else that they feel very confident in.
I think our guy Michael Bruntz should be ready at this point. Bruntz from Husker 24/7 here. How are we doing today, bud?
Not bad. What's going on?
Oh, just having more regular discussions, better than we did a week ago. I know that it was the Bruntz Comedy Hour from what I saw from a couple of people online. So I don't know if you've got any good one-liners for us today.
We'll see what I've got in the holster. No promises, though.
Bruntz, as we get closer to the actual football being played, do you feel like you've learned anything in fall camp, or are we just in full wait and see mode?
I mean, we've learned a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think with this team, and certainly in the transfer portal era, and how many guys that they're going to be relying on who are, new and haven't played a game in a Nebraska uniform. I mean, I think it's probably prudent to be a little bit more wait and see. I think that's also just kind of where we are in the arc of the Matt Rule era is the, wait and see, show me, don't tell me type spot. So, I mean, I think we have learned, some guys that, are going to be contributors that maybe, weren't at the front of mind whenever we started fall camp. And then there's still some questions to be answered. I mean, who's going to be the guy at certain spots? We don't know that yet. I think there's a couple spots where maybe it goes into the season, but it's been, again, I mean, it was a relatively quiet off season. I think it was a relatively quiet fall camp also by design. So it'll be good to actually see, what this looks like when the curtain goes up on the 5th.
Bruntz, have you been surprised at all by I would just say the tone at which people have talked about Anthony Calandria? It seems like there's been a lot of praise for him, and sort of in a way that surprised me a little bit. How have you processed the way both coaches and other players have talked about Anthony Calandria?
You mean from inside the program that they talk that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know that it's particularly surprising. Like I think from just the personality he brings. I mean, think about it. I mean, part of the reason that he was the guy was the personality, right? Like the getting out of the SUV at Memorial Stadium and having a little bit of extra juice. I think that's who he is. I think he's authentic around his teammates. I mean, you see him in the few kind of windows we've gotten to see this fall and also back in the spring, and he's running around with energy, high-fiving everybody. I mean, I think he really is kind of a lightning rod in a good way for that offense, and kind of, giving everybody a little bit of energy, and guys are going to play hard for him. So, that was kind of who he, was coming in. I think that's who he's been since he's been here. We'll see once the season starts how that kind of goes with, you guys know how it is around here, with when guys start playing and they play well, you hear good things. If not so well, you don't. But I mean, I think he kind of fits in a little bit too to what you're just saying with the, you want to see it because, there's a pretty long track record there. Some good, some not so good. And you kind of want to see, how it's going to look here. But I mean, I think in terms of, kind of finding a guy that can kind of come in and, be a leader, and be that kind of presence at the quarterback spot that I think you need. He's done a really good job of that. And it's funny. I mean, when he's up at the podium, you don't see that. He's really pretty clipped with his answers. I know he's definitely not that way, around his teammates. So, I think, in the portal era, as much as, you want to nail, what kind of a system a guy's going to thrive in and how he plays on the field, I think there's also a little bit of, how does a guy fit in personality wise? How quickly can he, get in and be a leader and kind of integrate himself to the locker room and guys that are already there. And I think Calandri's done a pretty good job of that to this point.
Bruntz, are you more interested when live action starts next week and you're able to see Calandria under center? Are you more interested to see how the offense fits around or has adjusted with Calandria at quarterback comparative to what they did a year ago, or how Calandria maybe fits the offensive system? Has that been something you've kind of digressed in?
Well, I want to see what the system is. I mean, do we even know what that is? I mean, we saw a little bit of it in the spring game. But I mean, I don't know how. I don't think the offense can look the same as it did last year. Like it just can't. I mean, it's you've got a very specific set of skills at the quarterback spot now. Yes, that's a little bit different than what Nebraska had there last year. I think you got to take advantage of that. So I think that's as big of a question going into this year as like, look, you've got a quarterback that does things very differently than the guy that you had last year. How are you going to take advantage of that? How is it going to look different? Dana Holgorsen has said that, he's going to basically mold his offense to the guys he has rather than trying to shoehorn somebody into what he does. So I think there's a little bit of mystery there of what that's actually going to look like on the 5th and how they're going to take advantage of what Anthony Calandria can do. So that's a very long-winded way of saying, I mean, I'm curious to see what he looks like in that offense. And we've heard all spring and fall about how, he can extend plays. And that's going to be a part of it. I think also a big piece of it is going to be, how do you also make quick decisions in the offense? And I think that's something that if you really listen to the coaches, they've talked a lot about how quickly he processes things. The quick game is going to be a part of the offense, I think, a little bit more than what it has been. And so, there's a lot to see. I mean, that's the thing that you kind of keep coming back to is, not only what this new quarterback is going to be, but what's Dana Holgorsen going to do? Because I don't know how it's going to look similar to last year. I just can't.
Bruntz, let's take Calandria out of the equation for this particular question. Is there a guy or a couple of guys that you have sort of zeroed in on and said, hey, if Nebraska's going to have any sort of progression to the next level as a program, this guy absolutely has to be good this year?
Yeah, I don't think it's just one guy. I'll give. Here's where I'm coming at with this. I was up late last night, couldn't sleep. I was like, you know what? I'm going to put on the Michigan-Nebraska game from last year.
That puts you to sleep?
Glutton for punishment.
I made it till about the third quarter.
So after the Hail Mary.
The Hail Mary and the decision to not call timeout to force the punt, which is still baffling. But anyways, the tackle play in that game was not very good. And that was kind of like, that game was a little bit of like the canary in the coal mine in some ways for what was coming later in the season, I think. And I think when you ask where I'm zeroing in on, like, we've talked about how good this offensive line can be. Is the tackle spot going to be improved? I mean, that's just at the front of mind for me. Gunnar Gatula, Matt Rule said last night, is again, one of the top 5 guys that they've got. Does he win that right tackle spot outright? I think there's a chance there. Is Elijah Pritchett going to build and kind of be more of the guy that he was towards the end of the year versus who he was at the start of the year? I mean, I think though I'm going to be watching that pretty closely to kind of see how that line looks, and certainly the tackle and pass protection piece of it, because Nebraska's going to play a lot of really good pass rushers. They're going to play some pretty good defenses this year, and you're going to need those guys to be more consistent than they were last season.
Bruntz, as you look at the schedule and that comment you made about the canary in the coal mine being the Michigan game, is there a game that you've maybe circled that may give you the best indicator of what Nebraska's warts and maybe what their strengths are for this season? I think the assumption is that those non-conference games, you'll get a good feeling, a good vibe coming out of them, but we may not learn enough. Do you pin it on the Michigan State game? Is it a little after that? Or maybe is it something you can make your evaluation after those first 3?
Yeah, I don't think you can discount those first 3 games. I mean, I think, based on what Nebraska's playing, like you should hopefully leave those 3 games with some good feelings. You hope that you're able to get a lot of guys into those games. Ohio's got 17 of 22 of their starters weren't even on the roster last year. Bowling Green's got, they've got kind of a similar situation. But I think you'll be able to get a sense of kind of what how the team is playing, right? Like if it looks a little bit more, if it looks easier, then it doesn't look so, you're not like grinding gears to move the ball on offense. You're not really struggling to finish off drives. I mean, you go back a couple of years ago to that Minnesota game to open the year. Like that game felt different defensively, right? Like guys were flying around and tackling better than they had previously. You had a pretty good sense, I think, that defense, whatever the scheme was going to be, that guys were going to run around and hit and tackle. And, that felt good, I think, coming out of that game. So I think you'll be able to kind of get a feel for those things. I think Michigan State's going to be a big one, though. I mean, it's on the road. They're obviously going to be pretty juiced up there with Big Ten play starting and the new era and all that stuff. But, I think that's when you'll really kind of start to see, what this team is. But I think you'll be able to know a little bit from those non-con games. Like, I think if you're able to come out and kind of take care of business, I think that matters. I think if Nebraska is in a 4-quarter game in the opener, that's something that you can take something away from too. So I don't know that there's like a canary in the coal mine game. But I mean, I do think you'll be able to learn some things from those first 3.
Bruntz, when you initially said tackle play against Michigan, my mind immediately went to defensive tackle play, ironically enough. Where does that rank on your list of this needs to go well?
Yeah, I mean, it's up there. I mean, the lines are it, I think. And I don't know. I mean, there's no real good way to answer, what one person with those groups. I mean, I think the whole group has to be dialed in and playing well. And it's tough too with the defensive line because you have so many guys that you feel like could probably contribute. Like Matt Rule said they probably have, down to 3 guys, or I forget who said it, but down to, 3 guys at the end spots that could probably help them. You're hoping to get 6 in the interior. But that's got to be buttoned up early. And those guys have to be playing well, because I do think they also have a pretty good linebacker core this year on this roster, but it's got to be, that picture has to look good in front of those linebackers. And so I think that's absolutely, the interior defensive line play has to be good. And also I think you've got to figure out, are there guys that, can be rotational type pieces, guys that maybe can help you 10 snaps a game and go in there and not look completely lost and get pushed around. I mean, can you get those types of guys ready to go and playing well early on? I think that's going to be another big factor.
Bruntz, on that same conversation of just the defense guys that you're looking forward to, how much are you keeping an eye on just the special teams for the start of the non-conference schedule? And what are you looking for to that might give you a little bit more confidence saying, okay, maybe this transition would be a little bit smoother than what has been predicted?
Yeah. I mean, is it a matter of like not having to think about it? Like,
yeah.
is that simple enough? I mean, I think if it's not a big topic of conversation, maybe that's a good sign. Like if you're able to get the snaps back consistently, you're able to convert some field goals when you have to, and maybe you find a big play or two. I mean, we'll see who ends up returning kicks, but I think they have the potential, just based on a lot of the personnel being back from last year, to start fairly strong. And again, like, there's a pretty large gulf between what Nebraska was in 23 and 24 and what they were in 25. And, Nebraska just needs to find some consistency there, an occasional big play, and just kind of do the easy things well, like win the field position battle, do those types of things, punt a little bit better, get that net punting up a little bit. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on that, on those groups, and rightfully so. But I mean, I think honestly, a good start to the season for them would be just the fact that it's not even like a top 3 conversation, right? Like you're not going like Calandria offense and then immediately to special teams and issues there. So, but yeah, I mean, there's going to have to be, some guys that step up and, especially in the return game to fill some of those roles.
Bruntz, so I went sort of through a little exercise yesterday as I was looking at Nebraska and their position group rankings with Phil Steele in his magazine. And I want to go through these with you real quick and just see if you agree in terms of who you think is the best and worst unit on the team. He had quarterbacks at 43rd, running backs unranked in his top 65, receivers 21, offensive line 22, defensive line 37, linebackers 24th, defensive backs 15th, and special teams 22nd. So your best group was defensive backs at 15th. Your worst group was running backs, which were not in the top 65. Do you agree in terms of best and worst units on the team?
Where was defensive line?
37th. So they were third from the bottom. Quarterbacks were at 43, which I don't particularly buy into, but that's a different story.
Yeah, I mean, the quarterback thing, that feels low given the experience that they have. I mean, I obviously I've not dived into every quarterback room in college football to this point. It's maybe on the list for this week to do, I guess. I don't know. But
so real quick, just to help you out here, it looked to me about like 25 to 30 made the most sense. 25 is South Carolina if you're still really high on Lenore Sellers. Then you're at UTSA, Texas State, Maryland, Michigan. So if you're really high on Bryce Underwood or Malik Washington, maybe you put Nebraska after them. But then you kind of fall off a cliff at 30. It's FAU, Pittsburgh, Kansas State, Penn State.
It's the group, right?
Yeah, it's the whole group. So I think you could argue that Nebraska is easily in the 25 range in the quarterback group.
I would think the depth would be the strength, is the way I would put it. Like you don't have a lot of quarterback rooms with the type of experience that Nebraska has in this day. Like you just don't. And it's interesting. Like you look at kind of like national quarterback rankings just with like Calandria, and that's kind of where he falls in a lot of those is like mid-30s. But I mean, you add in Kalen, you add in Latif. That group feels low to me.
For what it's worth, Calandria's PFF is the 7th highest of returning quarterbacks from last year.
Well, they love the deep balls, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that feels low. Defensive line feels a little bit high, I think, given maybe what the returning track record is there. I would maybe have that a little bit lower, but yeah, quarterback's probably the one that I would say is a little bit out of pocket there.
Do you think the defensive backs should be the highest ranked unit on the team?
Well, so our linebackers, are they counting just inside guys? Like, is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I believe so.
That one I would put higher.
You'd put linebackers over defensive backs?
No, I wouldn't do that. I would. I don't know. Like, to me, it's kind of a wash with wide receivers, defensive backs. I would put offensive line in that group and probably linebackers. Those would be my top 4. I would probably lean wide receiver over defensive backs, but not by much. Like, I think there's some pretty good skill in that secondary, but I think overall the strongest group I would probably put at wide receiver, just given that there's 5 guys in that group I feel pretty good about, and I don't know that I would have said that about past Nebraska wide receiver groups.
So that was the second highest group, was the receivers, and then offensive line was right behind them. So you're very much right in the neighborhood there.
Well, that's good.
You and Phil Steele handshake meme.
Yeah, just doing the it was Total Recall with the high five thing. Yeah.
So are you Arnold?
Yeah,
or...
I don't know who's.
Ooh, good question.
Who's Carl Weathers in that situation?
Is that Predator? That's Predator, right?
Predator, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry.
Yeah, not Total Recall.
Okay, Shane.
Listen, 80s action movies. That's Shane's wheelhouse, baby. That's where
you got to
he
be
lives.
careful about that.
Waterbeds and 80s action movies. That's
and Aquanet apparently.
I'll let Phil be Carl Weathers. That's fine.
Okay. All right. I don't think you can pick wrong in that scenario.
No,
can
I
you?
mean I think both are a
It's
win
kind of
there.
a win-win. Yeah.
It basically comes down on who gets to say "you son of a bitch."
I feel like that's Bruntz personally. I feel like that's Bruntz. I don't know if Phil Steele is doing that. That's just my personal opinion.
Bruntz, you excited to watch a little football this weekend?
Yeah, it's good sicko weekend. You've got the Ireland game, so you got North Carolina TCU. Great slate of late games though. You got Stanford Hawaii. You've got Memphis UNLV. You've got it's not a late game, but you got USC San Jose State. So just a little bit of football to wet the beak. Although it's kind of, I would love a little bit more of a more marquee matchup for week 0, but we can't. All football's good, so that's okay.
Are you stopping by any high school games this weekend?
I'll be at Lyle Buell Stadium, center of the football universe as always. So I'll be there.
All right, as long as you're wearing blue, that's all I need.
I told BC, I said, yeah, I've got this, this Mustang back tat that I've been hiding for years. And he kind of looked at me, and I was like, gonna let him think that I had it, but I don't think he buys it. So
got to go tarps off, let the back tat fly.
Yeah.
Bruntz, we've already guaranteed Ravi a spot on the 10 o'clock news if Millard North pulls off the upset. So he's ready to rock.
Wow. Oh, do they have a delay? Like, is there a delay in there?
They better. Do you want to jump in on that newscast if the upset comes?
Can you drop somebody on a newscast? Is that possible? Like, get that drop button ready.
We'll make sure Shane talks to him so they
there
know.
We go.
Bruntz, we appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you next week. And I'll probably see you over at Buell on tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll see you over there.
All righty.
Thanks,
appreciate
Bruntz.
it.
Yep, see you guys.
That's Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7.
the talent evaluation thing was very interesting.
So I want to go through that a little bit more in depth here. Let's take a quick break though, because not only did I do the talent evaluation, but I averaged out both their place in the national rankings and in the conference rankings, and I tried to equate that to where that might land them in terms of finishing record, and I found it very interesting. So we'll take a quick break. We'll go through that here in just a minute. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. We've got Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
Your schedule is filling up. Get back to busy at Edwards Kia. Lease the 2027 Kia Seltos S starting at just $269 a month. Ready for every run on the calendar. 2 great leases, 1 less thing to worry about. We've also got the 2026 Kia Sportage EX starting at $249 a month. Don't wait. Get back to busy this August at Edwards Kia.
What was it like being coached by Bo?
Being coached by Bo Pelini was the greatest experience in my life. It was also the most challenging thing I've ever encountered. He's the type of man that demanded perfection, and he made things difficult, but he knew that in doing so, it was preparing us for our next phase of life, and that had something to do that was outside of football. He was doing his best to raise good men and good members of the community, and I think he did a very successful job with that. When you look back at the number of guys that come back to Nebraska that are involved with the Team Jack Foundation, that give back to the community, I'm very proud of my head coach and the guys that I got to play for him with.
I think that there's just so much to think about, and there is just a lot of pieces and parts, a lot of pros and cons, you know, and we suspected that it might get passed, but I think that our class was really trying to just stay present and stay in the moment, and I think that's even for me now, is to just take that opportunity and to really think about all the possibilities, you know, weigh all of my options before I go and make a decision, because this is my future. So I think that it's not just a small decision that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stay or I'm gonna leave. I think that there's way more to think about than just, oh my gosh, like I should stay for this. Like people are like, oh, well, there's a lot of money here and there's a lot of opportunity, and that's great, but I kind of have to decide what is it about for me and why would I stay or why would I leave? But yeah, I don't think it's as clear of a decision as people might think it is.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports HQ, reminding you Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill has their pizza and beer special tonight.
Oh, yeah.
It is
It's elite.
It's a great little pregame if you want to try and get over there before you head over and watch some high school football tonight. It is a 8-inch one-topping pizza and a 16-ounce Cornhusker Crusher draft for just $9. You can barely get fast food for $9 these days. You can
That
get
is true.
a pizza and a beer over at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill tonight for $9. Make sure you go check it out over at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
What's the beer called again?
It's a Cornhusker Crusher. 16 ounces.
That's a good amount.
That's the perfect amount.
Listen,
right?
it's football season. Start lifting, get your 12-ounce curls in now.
Mhm.
So by the time we get to September, October, you can hit your 16-ounce curls. And then if you're feeling lucky, get to November.
23?
You can go 20, 23, 24. Can you get
23?
up there?
I think the 20. I think it goes 16 and the 23. I think that's the.
I don't think it's 23.
I think
it's 24.
I don't think it's 24.
Why do you think it's 23?
Because I think it's a pint.
If I just Googled 23-ounce beer.
Yeah, I think it's 16 or a 23.
Oh, are you talking in a pour?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, a pour, yeah.
Yeah, like out of
okay,
a-
I thought you meant like the cans. I was like, I've never seen a 23-ounce can.
out of like a draft.
It's like, hey, listen, I've drank a lot of beer in my time.
This guy knows his beer. He went to UNK.
Yeah. And then maybe if you're if you're competing
Yeah.
well into December, hit the 40-ounce bottle,
Yeah, but only if you're
A little aggressive?
like being responsible,
Yeah, of course,
all that
of
kind of
course,
stuff.
of course.
Goes without saying. Be responsible.
Yeah, when you see someone buy that, it's always at a gas station, right?
Yeah,
I've never seen someone buy a 40-ounce bottle of beer from anywhere but
At like
a
a
gas
grocery
station.
store?
Yeah, that's not just
I don't
like
even know if they carry them.
in the grocery store.
Yeah.
I'll look.
I've never seen.
Just gonna
I
Google
also
ID
just
quick.
assume that they're not having a good day. Like I
yeah.
that's
I
probably.
assume they're doing the Denzel thing where they're like popping the.
I
just going for it.
I just feel like, and look, I could be wrong here. I feel like if that's like your go-to, because if you're going to hang out with people, you're buying like a 6-pack or
Ooh. Yeah, if you had a gathering and someone
like
came in
brought a 40,
and they brought a 40,
that's a wild move. Like that's an insane move, especially if you're not like 22 and doing Edward 40 hands or something like that,
Exactly.
right? But
okay, so I'm looking through the Hy-Vee site right now.
And once you open it, I mean, you got to go all
yeah,
in.
like
Yep,
you got to
yep.
finish that thing, right? Like
You're not putting the cap back on and putting it in the
No.
fridge.
like you are intending on drinking the equivalent of like 3.5 beers out of one bottle.
I do not see a 40-ounce bottle on
I
the
just-
grocery store website.
Listen, again, no judgment. It's just when I see somebody buying a 40, I feel like they're having a bad day.
Mhm.
I feel like they're not having a good day,
Yeah.
or they're about to not have a good day.
Well, they're definitely intending to have a bad night. That's their intention, right? Like you can have whatever day you want, but at the end of that, there's just no way you're having a good time.
Like I almost feel like it's a cry for help. Like I just need to be like, hey, buddy, do you
So
need to
it's
talk
4
to somebody?
PM. What are you doing?
Like, do you need to talk to somebody? Not me, but
Yeah.
I'll find someone. It's not going to be me.
So UNK wins tonight. I'll
You're
buy
going-
40.
You're going Edward 40 hands?
Oh yeah. Show tomorrow morning is going to be very interesting.
I want them to still be on your hands in the morning.
Typing was very difficult logging in. Logging into the stream was very difficult.
You're just like, guys, UNK got the big win.
I'm here to make a point.
I wanted to get back into the unit rankings here with Nebraska for a second.
When you said that last night, that was super interesting. And it was one that was just from the eye view, it's almost hard to take in because of the different position groups and the numbers that are attached to them. But if you go position by position group, it becomes very interesting. And then I know that you like aggregated it after. For
I
the team.
did.
Yeah.
So I don't remember. Oh, I think somebody in the chat, it might have been Archers, I think, in the chat. There's been a few people that have been talking about sort of the overall talent on the roster and things like that. And I'm like, okay, they've been using NFL draft boards and things like that, that's totally fine. But I wanted to do something that was a little bit more college focused, and Phil Steele, I think, does a really good job of that. And so I went through his unit rankings from his magazine this year, and I thought it was really interesting. So as I mentioned with Bruntz, quarterbacks are 43rd in the country, which again I think is low, but we're gonna use his numbers, okay? Because I'm gonna not fudge a little, but I'm gonna make some assumptions about running back. So I'm gonna leave quarterbacks where it is.
I don't know that there are 42 college football programs that are ahead of Nebraska. That
I
would
agree.
say oh, I don't want your 3 quarterbacks. And like if we trade room for room, not your starter, not all that, the entirety of the room, I don't think that there are 42 programs ahead of Nebraska that
I
wouldn't
think
say yes.
30 was about the right number.
I'd say so.
I think looking through this, I do feel like it falls off a cliff after about 30. And so that's one where I was like, okay, that's probably a little low, but I'm going to make an assumption with running backs here. So I'm going to leave that where it is. That would put them in 11 in the conference. There are 10 other teams in Phil Steele's rankings from the Big Ten that have better quarterback rooms, according to him. Running backs are unranked in the top 65. So that's where I'm going to make an assumption later in order to aggregate this, because I don't think running backs are the worst unit on the team.
Okay.
So if I put them and I say, hey, they are equal to where Phil Steele has the worst ranked unit on the team at 43rd, that's what I did when I aggregated these numbers. Because I was like, okay, maybe quarterbacks are 30th. Maybe that would put running backs at 56. Like I figured it gave me a little leeway, but I unequivocally do not think running backs are the worst room on the team.
Does Phil, because this magazine comes out well before fall camp, does Phil base it mostly off of last season film or conversations?
So he does a really good job about kind of aggregating things from transfer portal, last year film, recruiting rankings, and conversations with coaches. So he tries to put as much of a picture together as he can without seeing games in the fall. So running backs, I understand why they're unranked.
Yeah, and that's why I asked, because if you don't have something to watch from them, because notably, bulk of the second half carries all went to EJ.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get a lot of evaluation other than the Las Vegas Bowl on the new guys coming up.
I also take EJ Barthel at his word and say that this is the most talented room that he's had. So I think it's fair to put them at 43, which would equal them as the worst unit on the team.
Okay.
So that's what I did in terms of aggregation, but we'll get there in a second. Receivers are 21. That's 5th in the conference. Offensive line is 22. That's 8th in the conference. Defensive line is 37th. That's 10th in the conference. Linebackers 24th. That's 6th in the conference. Defensive backs, which is his highest rated group, is 15th. That's 4th in the conference. And special teams, this is one maybe surprising me the most. He has them at 22nd. That's 6th in the conference. So what I did was I basically added up all those numbers, so the national numbers and the conference numbers, and divided them by 8 because that's the number of units that he ranked. That puts Nebraska on average between 28th and 29th in the country and between 7th and 8th in the conference in terms of where their talent ranks compared to the rest of the country and the rest of the conference.
Which is something like I asked Sam this a couple of weeks ago, where I said, if you had to take the top 40 players, where do you think that ranks Nebraska? And I think that's exactly where he said.
I thought he said 6.
I
thought he said
move
as high
up
as
a little
6,
bit,
but we're in the neighborhood here.
Yeah, right.
We're in the neighborhood here. Especially if I did run some numbers, if you bump the quarterback room up to like 30, then we're very much in that range of being like between 5 and 7 in the conference. And I think that bumps them between like 25 and 26 in the country. But I stuck with these numbers.
And
so,
you put the running backs on the low end too. So that's
I put the running backs
too,
on at 43 and 11. 43 in the country, 11th in the conference, to give myself a little leeway here. So where that would put Nebraska, and I don't think I'm making big assumptions there, where that would put Nebraska, the 28th to 29th ranked teams in the country, and I get ranked is a little different than talent, but give me a little grace here. In the AP poll after the regular season, that puts them either at Iowa at 8-4 or UNLV at 10-2. And then the coaches poll, Missouri at 8-4 or SMU at 8-4.
Those are last year's records.
Last year's records from the final poll after the regular season. Now, in the Big Ten standings, that puts them at either.
Oh, so you use last year's final polls?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then in the big standings, 7th or 8th place is Illinois at 8-4 and Minnesota at 7-5. So I basically, all I did is when you have number sets like this, I took out the extremes on both ends. UNLV 10-2, they're out. Minnesota 7-5, they're out. A lot of 8-4s here. Would you, A, do you think that's an accurate reflection of their talent?
Yeah.
B, if I signed you up for 8-4 today and a top 30 ranking in the country, are you taking that?
Yeah. Yeah.
No questions asked?
Yeah, I'll take that. This is how I felt the entirety of the offseason too, that I think that they are more, I think this is the most talented team that they have had in the 4 years. I think it's the most experienced team that they have. It's just the matter of the coin flip games that still come down to it. But in terms of strictly the talent, when the AP poll first came out, when the coaches poll first came out, and we saw some of those top 25 projections and ratings and people were talking about it, I had no doubt. And that's why I asked Sam about it a few weeks ago was, why is it that Nebraska is being overlooked? Because I believe that their talent is actually closer to the top end of the conference than it is closer to the middle or bottom end. I think that they're more talented than Iowa, especially coming into this season. They do return more.
Iowa has a lot of questions this year.
They do.
I mean, we talked, I think Scott Dochterman was talking about it.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and Bruntz maybe even did a little bit too. There's a lot of questions at Iowa this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions there. And
there's a lot of questions at Illinois this year.
But again, Iowa's a team that is preseason top 25 ranked in both of the polls. Illinois is not, but they are a team that a lot of people would assume has upside. Nebraska doesn't have the same upside. And yes, I get it. It's because of the games that are on the schedule. I understand. But that's why, I've tried to use this example a couple of times, but if you took the entirety of the schedule for Nebraska and just shook it up into a big jar and just spilled it out, all the games, translated the way that they did, I don't know that Nebraska, everyone would feel as confident just saying, oh, well, it's a really hard schedule. It's all this other stuff too. Some of it is the way that the schedule is actually positioned, but talent-wise, I think that they can be very competitive with a lot of the teams that are in that upper tier. Will they beat Oregon and Ohio State? No, I mean, their probability of winning those games right now is very low. We'll obviously see when we get there because you're not going to write anything in stone right now. But I think that Indiana talent gap is not as large as what people assume it to be. I think that their talent gap that has been presumed against, especially Washington, is nowhere near as far as people want it to be. The Illinois talent gap is definitely not. That's distinctly different between the two of them. And even the Iowa game, I don't think that this is necessarily a hot take. I think Nebraska is the more talented team, but this is where, and I'm not reading the chat right now, but I can definitely tell where this conversation will go. And when people fly into this conversation, they'll say, oh, but, Iowa always wins the game. They win on the margins, all that stuff. I'm not denying that at all. Nebraska has always usually been the more talented team than the Iowa Hawkeyes. When they get to the end of the season, it's usually the better team that ends up winning it. I think Nebraska's talent, however, supersedes some of the starting 22. I think it goes a little bit further in their depth there. You got to fix all the other little things. You got to be able to clean up some of the other stuff and get the in-game things corrected so that way you can win those close matchups. But in terms of strictly talent, I don't think that there are many games on Nebraska's schedule where they are going to walk in and feel like we don't have the Jimmies and Joes to win a game today. I feel like they should be confident in, if you put a number on it, I think they should be confident about 9 of their games going in, just saying based on talent alone, I think we've got a really, really good chance of competing with the team we're facing off against.
Yeah, so I'm looking here. So Iowa totally unranked in at least 2 categories, quarterback and wide receiver.
Naturally, yep.
Makes sense. Yep. They are top 20 in running back. They're 15th in offensive line. That's only 7 spots ahead of Nebraska. They're 35th in defensive line. That's only 2 spots ahead of Nebraska. Going through here with linebackers, they are below Nebraska. They're 7 spots below Nebraska in linebackers. In defensive backs, they are 4th. Nebraska's 15th. That's the biggest gap there. And they're 6th in special teams, and Nebraska's 22nd. I do think we're not probably giving enough credit to LeVar Woods not being there on the special teams. But if you're...
I'm going to get a checkerboard or just a whiteboard that says days without LeVar Woods being
I'm just like, it'd be like if I think it would be the equivalent of them losing Phil Parker and us pretending like the defense was going to be the same thing. I don't think that's a reasonable thing to assume. Kirk Ferentz has had a lot of success with lots of different coaches and things like that, but I do think LeVar Woods was if you look at their special teams over the last handful of years, that was a key part, not only of their success, but of their defense as well. Like the special teams allowed their defense to be what it was. But to your point on the unit rankings, there is, I don't think, a ton of difference between Nebraska and Iowa. Maybe it's even, right? Maybe it's pretty even in terms of talent. But, I'd have to go through and look at the Minnesotas of the world and the Illinois of the world to get a good look here. But I don't know that there's evidence that there's a big gap between most of these teams right off the top here. And here's the other thing, they've got Illinois ranked 34 on quarterbacks. I'll take Nebraska's quarterback room over Illinois' quarterback room.
I'd agree. Yes.
No questions asked. Just full stop. I will take that room at all.
Is this us knowing too much about one team?
No,
being hyper fixated just on the one program that we know.
Anthony Calandru was as good, if not better, than Caden Hauser. right? Like, and then
now this is a completely different scenario. If Calandria doesn't come to Nebraska picks up Kalen in the portal. They still have TJ Lateef. They're still going to get a third quarterback, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you want to pretend it was Kenny Minchie or Aiden Childs or one of the other guys. Like, I mean,
let's just say, just for argument's sake, it's Minchie because that was their first choice, right? So they go Minchie. Where does that put Nebraska quarterback ranking?
I actually think it's lower then. Because
I
we know
I would kind of tend to agree.
Dramatically less about Minchie than we do about Anthony Calandria.
And I think that the evaluation of that room would be different because then they would say, okay, well, you have two guys with starting experience, but Lateef maybe didn't flourish completely. He had some duds of games, at least statistically. They'd say the same thing about Kalen as well. And they would say, okay, well, the higher upside is going to be Kenny Minchie, and if he's your projected starter, you haven't seen him in live action. So you don't know what to make of it.
Very little information on him from Notre Dame. So I would understand the 43 if it was Minchie. Okay. I think it's closer to 30 with Calandria. But, I mean, there's nobody else on Illinois' roster that you look at and you go, okay, there is a lot of evidence here that they have any sort of depth in that room. Like, if Hauser isn't good or if he is or if he struggles at all or like, there's no backup plan.
Yes.
For Caden Hauser, right? Like, this is our guy, and if he's not our guy, we are in a lot of trouble. And I mean, he has the time at Michigan State that was not great. He was good at East Carolina, but again, not totally dissimilar to Anthony Calandria without the additional rushing threat that Calandria brought to the table. So I think even if you call Hauser and Calandria a wash, the rest of the room for Nebraska, I think, elevates them past like an Illinois for that matter. So that's interesting to me. I mean, he's got Wisconsin ahead of Nebraska. And it's the same thing with Colton Joseph for me.
For quarterbacks?
For quarterbacks, right? Like, Colton Joseph, even if you want to call him and Anthony Calandria a wash, the rest of the room is better for Nebraska. Right?
Do you think it was a room evaluation, or do you think he did it strictly mostly off starter?
I mean, obviously you're going to have a heavy starter bias, right? Like,
it was like the weighted average to it,
You know, Oregon's number one in the room because you've got Dante Moore, and then you've got a backup who has a ton of experience and was relatively successful with Dylan Raiola, right?
Oh, yeah.
Ohio State's third because you have Say, and then you have a really highly touted recruit and Tavian St. Clair, Tavian St. Clair as your backup. So, like, he is looking at the room, and he does mention backups here, but it's obviously starter heavy. I don't know how you put Nebraska below some of the teams that are on here from that standpoint. But even like a Rocco Becht at Penn State, like the jump from Big 12.
Again, this is the quarterback tiers that we made, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about, you know what you're getting mostly out of Rocco Becht, but he's not moving the needle.
Yeah.
Right.
And you've got guys that, like, I would argue that the jump from Big 12 to Big 10 is not that much different than the jump from Mountain West to Big 10. I don't think you're talking about that much bigger of a gap. I think you're in the same neighborhood. The Big 12 is better. Don't get me wrong. The Big 12 is better. But I think the gap between the Big 12 and the Big 10 is bigger.
I don't know about that.
Than the gap between the Mountain West and the Big 12.
Okay. You keep talking. I'm gonna look something up really quick.
That's how I perceive the conferences, at least. I know the Big 12 is better. I think that gap is smaller than we necessarily give it credit for because we're talking about Power 4 versus Group of 5.
Generalized stat. You tell me to help answer this so I can think about that a little bit more. What's the one generalized stat that you think matters the most in terms of that argument, comparing conferences defensively? Yards allowed, points allowed. Like, what are you looking at?
I mean, just from like a talent and overall ability standpoint.
All right. Yeah, I can look. Yeah. Okay.
Obviously, you're going to have more draft picks out of power conferences because you get more like-on-like competition and stuff like that. When I watch those two conferences, I don't think there's a huge gap there. Again, the Big 12 is better than the Mountain West. That's not what I'm saying. I think the gap between the Mountain West and the Big 12 is smaller than the gap between the Big 12 and the Big 10. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I hear you.
Like, I'm kind of like, I would do the same thing with the ACC and the SEC, right? Like, if Darian Mensah was going to the SEC instead of to Miami, and you have, say somebody from the Mountain West going from, or, the AAC or whoever going from there to the SEC as well, I get that the ACC is better than those other conferences, but I would also say the gap is closer between the ACC and the Group of 5 conference than it is between the ACC and the SEC. Like, I think that gap is relatively large.
Okay. All right.
Just how I kind of process it.
I'm hearing you, not believing you, and that's fine. We're not meant to agree on everything. Listen, if you look at in terms of total yardage and everything and points allowed, there are rough estimate, and again, I'm trying to just guesstimate this. It looks like there's like 6 Big 12 teams that are in the top at least 35. I have not seen a Mountain West team that gets in that category yet. Wyoming, I think, is one of the highest ones at 33 from last season.
Yeah.
San Diego State in the Mountain West last year? I can't remember.
I believe so.
Pac-12,
yeah.
whatever
San
they were.
Diego State was last year.
So they were 6, but also, that's a good sign for Nebraska. So
yeah, no,
I'll take
San Diego
that.
State was very good last year.
Wow, what a two-sided argument I'm in right now.
Yeah,
It's tough.
you're really rocking a hard place.
See, that's what you did. You just longballed me. You're just like, oh, I'm going to make you say something bad about Rob Orich. I didn't say anything bad about that.
You think Rob Orich sucks?
No, I didn't say that. He had the 6th best defense in college football last season,
There you
according
go.
to complete total stats. So it's fine. Whatever.
In a conference that does have some good offensive teams between like New Mexico and
So
obviously UNLV.
Yes.
And
So you're right about that the Big 12 offenses and the Mountain West offenses and everything that they're kind of facing. I can agree with that,
Yeah.
that what you are facing, at least like talent level wise, in that sense, is somewhat comparable, or at least schematically. You can also like agree on that.
yeah,
too, so.
I don't think there's a huge gulf between those two conferences. Maybe I'm wrong.
When you said neighborhood, I definitely think one is fenced off from the other one, though. I think the Mountain West Conference are like, oh, they're just over there.
I mean, maybe it's like, we were talking about where some of the trailer parks are in Omaha,
Yeah.
like, and how they're not in bad parts of town.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple where it's like, hey, there's like a really nice neighborhood, and then, just a couple blocks over, you've got the trailer park. Like, maybe it's that. Or
I
it's
think the
like,
Mountain West are single wide trailers, and the Big 12 are double.
fair.
Okay.
I could do that.
Okay.
We could do double wide.
Now we can agree. What a concept.
They are definitely both places where you would find somebody yorking it though.
Yes.
Just don't get arrested.
Yeah. Cannot be yorking it there. Great. We were just about to pull this segment too. That was going to be so good. That was so good.
We can still pull it.
Yeah, we could.
Why would
We york it?
why wouldn't we?
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Everything's fine.
So when you evaluate how that looks, because I went on my own mini tangent about the comparable talents and everything else with all the other teams and whatnot. How does that actually translate for you though? Because you can write it down, you can preseason it, you can do all that other stuff, and of course, everyone always has to put the injuries asterisks on all of this sort of stuff as well too. But when it comes down to the games, how does that actually present itself? Like how do you evaluate what this says on paper in preseason to how you feel when you get into the season?
There are a couple things that I think about, and we could talk about this more tomorrow, but I think back a few weeks ago when we talked to Dave Bartu, and he said the two things that he counts on the most are continuity and coaching, right? So I don't have we can talk to Adam and Dave and see where they've still got Matt Rule in the Big Ten coaching hierarchy. But in terms of continuity, I believe Nebraska's second in returning production in the Big Ten. They're one of the top teams in the country in terms of returning production, and that's even with losing a quarterback. So if you're talking about continuity and coaching as the things that make talent show up the most, then at least on the continuity front, Nebraska's got a really good shot. I'll text Adam and Dave and see where they've got Matt Rule in terms, and the coaching staff in general, because I think the thing that we forget about sometimes is the coordinators in the Big Ten are phenomenal. That's a really big factor here outside of just the head coach. So I'll text Dave and Adam, and I'll have that for you tomorrow in terms of where Nebraska's coaching staff ranks. Because I would bet that it is somewhere in that 7 or 8 range that I've got them with their talent as well.
Okay.
And if that's accurate, then I think that's even more evidence. So if they're 7 and 8 on talent, 7 to 8 on talent, 7 to 8 on coaching, and second on continuity, that would give me a pretty good amount of confidence that 8 and 4 is very much on the table, because you're getting a little bit of bump from the continuity, and everything else is lining you up at 8 and 4.
Yeah, but if everything was that, I hear what you're saying. If everything is at 7 and 8, again, we're playing in X, Y, and Z.
These are hypotheticals.
Yeah, zeros and ones and all that other stuff. But if your coaching and your talent matches, I know this is a hypothetical that you didn't present, but if your coaching and talent matches, I'd rather have your coaching be higher, because your coaching can elevate talent.
I agree. I get that,
and so that's why I would be hesitant to say, oh, it's just grouped into 8 and 4, because if they're the similar level, I would rather see your coaching be higher than what your talent level is.
I get that, but if the coaching is higher, then I think it takes the talent level, because the talent level is at 8 and 4. That's what the numbers tell me. So if the coaching was higher than that, then that would skew higher than 8 and 4 for me. What I'm saying is I don't think it brings it lower. If they're both at, and again, I don't have the numbers yet, but if they're both at 7 and 8 or 7th or 8th place in the conference, that lends me to believe, hey, they'll stay even on where their talent.
But then you're aggregating the entire coaching staff at 7 and 8.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to. I don't think you can take.
Obviously, for the number and everything that you're saying, but okay.
So for this extra, and if it comes higher than that, then all of a sudden with the continuity, and if the coaching is higher than that in the conference, then I think you have to be like, okay, well maybe 8 and 4 is not just plausible, but maybe that's 8 and 4 is where you feel like you should be, and maybe even have a chance to win another game.
Right.
Besides that, I think I think it'll be really interesting to see what the Matrix Analytical guys say in terms of the coaching staff. But from a talent standpoint and a continuity standpoint, I think 8 and 4 is very much in the picture.
Talent puts you in the conversation, at least, right?
It gives you a chance.
Yes, it
right?
does. Yeah.
It gives you a chance.
Yep.
I think the continuity gives you a chance, and then we'll see where the coaching gives you back on. But
because in that same argument, like in the opposite side, I'd make the good argument that Iowa's not as talented or in that same category as Nebraska's just roster is in general.
From Phil Steele, they're close. They're like in the neighborhood.
But then their coaching, you're reliable on their coaching. I know you're obviously going to mention LeVar Woods again is no longer there, but
he's pretty important.
On the same note, their coaching always elevates. That's how they get to 8 and 4 every single season. That's how they've done it for 7 straight seasons. Yeah.
But I also think you're in a situation where, like, not all of those positions are created equally either, right? So to be potentially as dreadful as they might be at quarterback matters. If their special teams fall off at all, that is a much more important place for them than maybe it is for anybody else in the country, because so much of what they do is based on special teams and defense working together. So if they have any fall off in either of those two areas, then we're having a different conversation about Iowa. We just are. Especially, like, Iowa's overcome bad quarterback play before, but they've done it with special teams and defense. If special teams doesn't stay at that level, I don't think their margin is huge. Iowa's margins on anything have never been big.
Yeah.
Right? We always talk about,
but that's where they win.
Right. But if you lose any of that margin because either you think LeVar Woods is that good or you don't. You either think it's an Iowa thing or you think it's a LeVar Woods thing.
Interesting.
Right? And if it's a LeVar Woods thing at all, then all of a sudden that margin that wasn't big to start with has evaporated.
Have me up late tonight doing homework. It's brutal.
Well, you got stuff to do tonight.
Well, I know. Stay up late. It'll be fine.
I'm just saying, like, if there is any drop off, which I think it's reasonable to expect some, if we think LeVar Woods is actually as good as we've said he is these last few years, then the margin that Iowa wins on just got even smaller or doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
That's a thing that matters, especially if the quarterback play, like, Gronowski really struggled throwing the ball, especially early last year. He was effective running the ball, and he figured it out later, right? If you don't have that, and he was a winner. That guy had won a ton at South Dakota State. You don't have a lot of those factors this year with Iowa's quarterback situation. So you're sitting here in a situation where, okay, I lose the margin of a culture winning guy at quarterback who's can give me something with his legs. And maybe I lose the margin of having the best special teams coordinator in the country and him being able to feed into my defense. Like, that's enough to mess with your final results, I think. So I'll be interested. I'll ask about Iowa. I'll ask about, see if they'll give me the full rankings for Matrix Analytical. But if they can give me full coaching staff rankings, I'll be really interested to see where Iowa ends up without LeVar Woods on staff.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah. My mind is just spinning right now because there's like 100 different topics that I'm trying to like sift through, and which is important in this argument, because one thing that I think of is just how quickly everything fell out last year.
Yeah.
Once Dylan got hurt.
Yeah.
And if that's more on Nebraska didn't have enough talent, if Nebraska didn't have the coaching, you know what I'm saying?
I think a lot of it has to do with the thing that we're a little bit more confident in this year, and that's the depth of the quarterback room.
Right.
Like, you had a true freshman starting quarterback as your backup. That's tough. Your third quarterback was an
Yeah.
NAI guy that had never taken a snap at Division or never taken a meaningful snap at Division One.
Yeah.
That's tough.
But see, I understand that, but then you're also suggesting, and I know the coaching staff is different on, different parts, but the offense itself was the one that did not perform up to snuff. And the defense obviously had its caveats too. But if the coaching staff offensively didn't change dramatically and your talent did get better, but the coaching staff remained relatively the same.
The coaching staff on offense has changed dramatically. Bringing in one of the best offensive line coaches in the country.
Which Wade. Okay, fair.
I think dramatically
I was
changes-
speaking more on the quarterback.
I get that, but everything stems from how good your offensive line is.
Okay.
Everything.
Some would say quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, you just said that.
I think a lot of it has to do with quarterback, but what's your quarterback going to do if your offensive line is not in alignment with what your quarterback can do and with what
it's a multi-layered part.
Your offensive coordinator likes to call.
See, that's the tough part with this is that it's aggregating the coaching staff makes it a little too generalized for me to feel comfortable. Like with what you're saying, I hear what you're saying. It makes sense to me, but generalizing the coaching staff at 7 to 8 within the entirety.
That's why we're going to ask because I do think you have to aggregate it because I think you want a full picture of the coaching staff, and I don't know how else to do that.
That's fair. No, listen. I hear you,
but I do think you have to take the coaching staff as a full picture because Jeep Wade is one of the best offensive line coaches in the country. Having alignment between your offensive line coach and your offensive coordinator and your quarterback skill set, like that's the big difference here. Is like, yes, your offensive coordinator and your quarterback coach are the same, but the skill set of your quarterback is dramatically different.
That's fair.
It's not like they just went from one guy with a certain skill set at quarterback to another guy with the same skill set at quarterback. That to me makes a huge difference in what your offensive coordinator and quarterback coach looks like. And I think the offensive line being in alignment and frankly should just be better also has a huge factor on what your offense looks like. And let's not forget the offense has gotten better year over year. Like from points per game, they have scored more points every year that Nebraska over the last 3 years at Nebraska. So while it wasn't, especially at the end of the year, what you wanted it to be, there has been improvement each year as Nebraska has moved on under Matt Rule.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see.
There's a lot. There's a lot there.
I'm going to text Adam as soon as we're off here and see where we're at. I want to see if he'll give me the
That was like getting a pop quiz at 8 a.m. That was tough.
Listen, you just got to start school off right.
That was tough.
You got to, do you want some of this energy drink to wake you up a little bit?
Yeah, I'll finish that for you. Here, let me try it quick.
You want to see it? You want to see if it's as bad as I think it is?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, actually. Do you get any beer in here?
No, I don't think so.
I like the smell.
You do or don't like the smell?
That's not that bad. You're being dramatic.
Come on.
You're being so dramatic.
No, I'm not.
No, that's really not that bad.
You're out of your mind.
This is a $1.99 drink at best.
No.
That's what I'm spending. Anything more, I'm not buying this.
I wouldn't drink that for free.
You have been drinking it for free.
Well, I mean, I took like 2 sips. And I was like, I'm out.
I'll have the rest of this. I'm not worried.
You're more than welcome to it.
You don't have Giardia, do you?
So much.
What? I got Giardia Plus. I got the subscription.
I got that super.
Comes in once a month. Nice little box.
Well, if you weren't yorking it so much.
Okay. All right.
All right, Shane.
Play the music
Wrap
again.
it
Wrap
up.
it up.
That's awesome. I'm Ravi. We'll be back tomorrow with Hurrdat Sports Live.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.